I'm Natalie.
And I'm Hannah. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, we're celebrating 50 episodes and 1 year of the Stride Sisters podcast. What started as friends rambling about runDisney has grown into something so much bigger, a community full of support, laughter, and so much love. We've decided to commemorate the occasion with our very first Ask Us Anything episode. Thanks to all of you, we've got plenty to chat about as we reminisce about our first year and look forward to our great, big, beautiful tomorrow. We're so grateful for every single listener who's been a part of this journey. You've made this past year more magical than we ever imagined. So lace up your shoes, get on your party hat, and step into the magic with us.
So since this is our 50th episode, does this mean it goes on for 18 months?
What?
Well, you know how the 50th at Walt Disney World was like an 18
Oh
month?
my
God. So it means this has to be minimum of an hour and a half. Like, but
hopefully this doesn't go on. I mean, let's be honest. This is going to be a long episode, I think. When we first posed the idea of doing an Ask Us Anything, I'm going to be honest, I thought 5 people might respond. I don't I mean, I know more than 5 people listen, but I just didn't think that many people were going to respond or want to ask us questions. And we have some people asked many questions. We have a lot of questions. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of dates. It's just a lot, which is our vibe, right?
yeah,
A lot in
yeah.
celebration of our anniversary.
Yeah, doing the most actually. Just for a little scary this morning, but happy halfway through 2025.
How's Chicago training going?
I am finally feeling back like I'm in the swing of things. So take a shot of emergency for me or airborne. Every time you hear me say this summer, oh my God, I was sick again. But I was sick again. I had a sinus infection, which listening back to last week's episode, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can. I did my best, but yes, you can.
Yeah. I was fighting for my life out there and I didn't even know it. In terms of the raspy, in terms of we were fighting for our lives. But happy to say that I feel like I'm more back to normal. I got a 6-miler in this past week, so that was good. And we kind of build back from there. Kristen put on her stories about how she's writing plans for Chicago PRs, and I messaged back that my butthole's scared of what that means because I haven't done speed work since May before this string of bi-weekly illness started, so my butthole is very scared.
It's gonna be okay. I was definitely supposed to do strides on Tuesday. Forgot to do them. Just did my base 3 miles, which, to be honest, good for me for getting on the treadmill. Who cares that I forgot about the strides? And then Thursday, I was supposed to go. That was supposed to be my first speed workout back. Didn't happen because I was awake until 1:30 doing work for over 16 hours on Wednesday. So I decided no, because I was really freaking tired. And in the same day, found out that, remember how last week we talked about getting your blood panels checked?
Yes.
Turns out I'm deficient in vitamin B and vitamin D. So it explains a lot of why I've been so tired and struggling with energy and motivation. Unfortunately, I guess, and why I would encourage you to get this done sooner rather than later, it takes 2+ months to like level those back out. So it's
Mhm.
not like you just magically start taking supplements and feel better immediately. Unless you get a B12 shot. Those apparently do help like within hours. But I wasn't that severe. So we're just doing oral supplementation. I'm sure you wanted to know all of that. Um and I'm in for the long run of my life because it's not even really, I mean, it's 7 miles, but it's just hot here. We've been comparing and competing amongst us and our friends across the country, and Georgia was not the hottest this past week. North Carolina was beating us out by a few degrees, which was wild, but it was still in the 90s every single day.
Yeah.
So all runs have been done inside. uh, One of our listeners tagged us this week, and they ran outside in 99-degree weather. Props to you. Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's impressive. I thought I
That
was gonna
no.
die in the 80s. I don't even remember when that was. That was, I think, midway through June. And like it was a
Mm-mm-mm.
midday in like the high 80s though, so like I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, do not recommend. I mean, look, that's how I feel. We went on a hike 2 weekends ago. I think I talked about that. And Peppy, we made it like it was ended up being close to like 4 or 5 miles in our hike. But at like the 3 mile mark, we were coming back down the mountain, and Peppy just like walked into the grass and plopped over to her side and was like, "No, I refuse. I will not be moving." And that's the vibe here if you go outside. Ben went and ran this morning and came back, and woof, it was hot already before like 9 a.m. So,
Gotta love it.
mm-mm, yeah. So, fingers crossed, we're going to have a bunch of storms again in the next coming week or so, but it's also going to be hot. So, like, I kind of hope we get somewhere in the middle. If it rained during Peachtree without lightning, I would be thrilled because that sounds great. I'm sure out of towners who are not used to the humidity that would come with that might not be thrilled, but that sounds like a pretty great race to me.
Probably depends how hard it rains, but I mean it's not like it's not
Mm,
gonna, if it's not 100% humidity, it's gonna be like 98
yeah.
probably. So
Mm-hmm.
with what I remember about an Atlanta summer.
Mm-hmm. And then I do have one, it goes in our injury category. I'm not counting it as injury. It's kind of a subgenre of Blister Brigade. If you don't like gross stuff, I suggest tuning out and like skipping ahead a few minutes. I lost half of my toenail this week. It was the big toe that I bruised back in November, if you remember from that far back, during one of my 20 milers training for Dopey last season. I bruised both my big toes, but one of them a lot more intensely. Never lost the toenail. I was like, whoa, that's great. But then, it's been growing out. We're about halfway there. And I was roughhousing with Peppy, and bam, off it came. So now I have a funky looking toenail. And it's a great way to start off the training season, honestly. By the time we get back to marathon weekend, it'll have grown back and I'll have probably bruised it again.
Are we naming our toenails?
We could.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do a callback because I feel like we haven't named a blister in a
Yeah.
long time.
If you haven't been on the pod in a while, no one has submitted anything for Blister Brigade, and Natalie and I also haven't had any blisters. So, Blister Brigade is where you submit any blisters you have incurred living life, running, at a race, whatever. We don't care how you acquired this. And you give us a little description. We come up with a name and personality for your blister.
Inspired by the OG Chester, my marathon blister from my very first marathon in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Chester. Uh, may you
Yeah.
rip in peace.
And then last summer, we had quite a few from me. The
Hmm.
biggest one being Bartholomew.
Oh, our guy.
He put me out of commission for a solid month. It took
Yeah.
so long to heal and it was so large. Every time I tried to start back up, he would just like explode again, essentially, just balloon right back up. So luckily has been pretty smooth sailing as of late. Everyone knock on wood.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. What do we think a toenail name is?
See, I kind of feel inspired by the spice cabinet because you said that you were
Mm,
roughhousing with Peppy. So,
yeah.
like, are we feeling parsley, paprika, cumin?
I feel like a spice that's ground because
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know how you're when if you've never had a toenail come off, they're a little crumbly.
Yeah, so for sure. Um
I'm so sorry. No one's ever listening to the podcast ever again.
it's almost like the TV syndication. We're gonna make it to 52 episodes and then piece the beep out. Uh something ground.
What about something also with maybe a C? We could go with cumin, but like I like cumin too much.
Are you a cilantro person?
I am a cilantro person. Oh, but you know what the seed of cilantro is? Coriander.
Oh yeah,
That's also what they call the leaf in other countries, but we could name my toenail coriander.
I like it.
Cory for short.
I like it. Kind of goes along with Bartholomew.
Yeah.
Like you got really regal toenails here and blisters.
Look, they were hard fought, so they
Exactly.
deserve the best.
Meanwhile, mine's just like, what is a really weird name? What's like a, I don't know, something large and obnoxious? Yeah, Chester. Chester works.
Yeah. All right, on to something less gross. We have
Well, depends.
registration dates.
Oh, okay.
No?
Well, I was like, well, it depends. Like, if you're training in the butt crack of summer, it might not be less gross. But
Yeah, this might
continue.
be terrible news. We have 65 days until Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon Weekend 2025. You are 2 months out. Everybody is in the training boat. If you are running any of them, Tuesdays and Thursdays, as always, is a 30-minute run or 30 to 45 minutes if you're running the challenge. 5K, your long run for the weekend, is 30 minutes. 10K, also 30 minutes. Half beginner, half experienced, and half challenge are all 3-mile runs this coming weekend. We have 114 days until Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2025. Your training is also begun. 5K, you have a little bit longer to wait. So, 10K and on, you've got 30 minutes during the week on Tuesday and Thursday, and 30 to 45 if you're running the challenge. 10K, you have 1.5 miles for your long run. Beginner half has 3 miles, and experienced half and challenge both have 4 miles this weekend. We have 190 days until Marathon Weekend 2026. Holy guacamole. Well, if you need to panic anymore, today's your proof of time deadline. So get that in. And for another shock of a lifetime, training has started. If you are running either challenge for Marathon Weekend, that would be Goofy or Dopey. You have training starting this week. You
No,
have
we
training
don't.
starting today.
No.
Yes.
No. I don't know why
Yes.
I'm knowing. I've been training for a marathon for 2 months. But no.
Marathon weekend, marathon standalone. It's 30 minutes, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3-mile long run this weekend. If you are running Goofy, you have 30 to 45 minutes during the week. Pick your poison. And if you are doing Dopey, it is a solid 45 minutes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Your long run this weekend is 3 miles, regardless of which challenge you are running. Best of luck to everyone. I am also in this boat, even though I'm not training for Goofy or Dopey. I'm doing full marathon. I'm just like pretending I'm doing Goofy on the off chance that I get an upgraded bit.
D Lulu is the way to go.
Yeah. All right. We have 212 days until Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend 2026. No training. Shirt deadline is July 16th, 2025. Your proof of time deadline is August 1st, 2025. We have 240 days until Princess Half Marathon Weekend 2026 with a shirt deadline of August 4th and a proof of time deadline September 1st. Go ahead, Natalie.
So how did registration go? Should we talk about it?
Oh dear.
I kind of blacked out and forgot that that was this week because this week has been approximately 3 years long. So,
Yeah. Um, it was stressful, that's for sure. This was my first experience with the dwarves in this way. So, that was not great. As someone who works in IT, not that I'm a developer or anything, but I have like just the surface level understanding enough to be like, what the heck? What the heck? But also I'm pretty sure that their website is managed by another company and not actually Disney IT. So blah, what a mess. What a mess. We had a very solid friend group though. Um, I was very frustrated that like once they put up the fake page, trying to click the button, some browsers were like Chrome. I think a lot of people had this problem. Chrome was not auto refreshing. If you refreshed yourself, it was just like getting stuck. I had a few browsers that did end up showing me the page, and I got into the queue, and I had a couple that never refreshed and just stayed blank for the duration of registration. Um,
mhm.
and I really don't want people to be mad that like I use multiple browsers, but like I do. I'm not up there with like 60 or anything. I have like a few, but I can't
Right.
imagine like it is such a bummer if like I was on my phone and my phone browser was the only one that I had and it wouldn't refresh. Like if I couldn't get into the website, I would be so mad.
Yeah, I guess to specify with the page, so they had a new loading page this time. If just in case you weren't part of this extravaganza.
They just put up a shell to protect the website. They basically like blocked you out of the website and you had to go to this like other thing. They just created a new pipeline and basically put you in a virtual waiting room.
Before it, the virtual queue. But it was
Mhm.
basically, I think the funniest part of it was that it was like, if you aren't trying to register for Princess right now, go away. It was like, please,
Come back
it's
later.
like, please revisit the website at a different time. I think that once it's working better, like I think that that actually will be somewhat effect, but like things getting stuck because I had a Chrome going that never went and my Edge went
Mhm.
and my Safari on my phone because Safari used to be the pooper for me on my
Safari was the first one that loaded for me.
wow, interesting. But yeah, that was sure was something and made me very, very happy that I got in with the charity bib for the 5K because I already had my club.
Yeah, I was happy about that too.
Because I was like, dang, I can only imagine. Because I mean, I was there for support for somebody else, which is also more stressful because like I'll take the heat if I don't get it. I'll probably find a bib 6 weeks out. So it's fine if I don't get in. But if I don't get the person that I need to get in, then I'm sad. But then I'll find them a bib 6 weeks out too. It's fine.
It is way more stressful when you have other people quote unquote relying on you.
Well, yeah, no, it was like the heartbreak of like not being able to get you goofy like this year
Ugh.
and stuff. I was like, because I had like two people trying to who one person it was just as they had were pressing pay that
Mhm.
shout
It
out
sold
Heidi
out.
because you're the bomb. Cause she's like, I'm so sorry. I was like, no, I appreciate you trying. I was like, this is Hannah's job. But yeah,
We
it was a little messy. And a lot of charities
Mhm.
sold out like within 24 hours of registration.
Mhm.
American Cancer Society was done before registration. They were out of bibs.
Wow. That's crazy. I don't think Kelsey's Hope is out yet, but they were pretty close last time I checked. If you go to runDiz, their Facebook page, they have been keeping a rather updated list of which charities have remaining bibs and for which races, so you can check there if you're still looking.
For sure. And then also, there's always a bigger opening at some point. So
Hmm. But through all the stress, Natalie already had hers because club, but I got in. I will be I will be running all of the races Princess weekend. My 5K fundraiser will be linked in the show notes, as well as my wine and dine fundraiser and Natalie's 5K fundraiser for American Cancer Society. All there if you're feeling so inclined. No pressure. All right. You ready for springtime surprise?
I'm ready to be surprised.
Well, there's 289 days. Isn't that surprising? Until Springtime Surprise Weekend 2026. Registration is also forthcoming July 22nd. You have a couple of week reprieve, but not long. And general registration will be on the 29th.
We're due for themes then. Like next week.
Yes, we are. We are due for themes any moment, really. Because they surprised us by coming early for Princess. So, for all we know, they announced them today.
I was wrong last time, so I'm not even gonna wager a guess. Yes, I am. Totally am. I'm guessing the 8th. I'm guessing for Mr. Natalie's birthday.
Oh, but if they were to do today, it would be Ben's birthday. Happy birthday,
Wait,
babe. Love you.
wait, shut up. I completely forgot that their birthdays are a week apart.
We picked good ones, didn't we?
We sure did. We're both with cancers.
Oh. So like all right, do you want to go over some Disney news?
Yes. I'm going to start with a mea culpa. Last week I had talked about how it seemed like Oogie Boogie Bash ticket things weren't a disaster this year. That's because they hadn't happened.
Yep.
Whoops. So they couldn't have been. But also it seems like they weren't because they
Yeah.
happened on the 26th.
Yeah, and one of our friends got in 45 minutes in the queue, was able to get all the stuff she needed. So, that seems
Perf.
good. No dwarves, no Stitch.
Ugh.
That was another thing we saw, a lot of Stitch. I don't think that was a good choice on their part with the brand new Stitch movie out to put Stitch as an error page.
It was kind of funny though. Well, I
Only
mean,
for
it's like
so long.
it's deeply ironic also like when in 22 for the 23 marathon weekend when it was the dwarves. It was like I didn't want to see Dopey like that. TBD. Welcome to Run Disney lore, everybody. The page break or the page breaks of these different years, but yeah, it seems like things weren't a super big disaster. I know there's like a VIP tour experience that's coming to Oogie Boogie Bash. I think the sales for that one those went on sale as well. Exciting. But that's something opening, so we're gonna talk about stuff that's closing.
Mm.
This is your final couple of days to visit the riverboat in Tom Sawyer Island.
Ben didn't literally cry, but like figuratively Ben cried when he heard about it. He's like, "I've never gotten to ride it." And I was like, "Well, we'll have to
Oh.
go to California then."
Well, I guess you have to. I jest, but it is a little sad because that'll be weird to see like it
Mhm.
all closed. Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid will have a little quick refresher refurbishment this summer. It'll be down from July 21st to 26th. And then it's back.
Just not even a whole week. They'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, it's a quickie. Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin
Don't say it.
closes on August 4th,
No.
2025, and will reopen in 2026.
How dare they? Right before my birthday, too.
I know. This is. It's gonna be fine. They're not gonna destroy. They're not going to massacre my boy. I'm still gonna be able to get Galactic Hero. I'm still gonna enjoy my experience. We're manifesting.
I have doubts.
So do I. But peace, love, Chicago Pope. He wouldn't lead me wrong. And you know, it's like Natalie, the joke is not funny anymore. Yes, it is. I was gonna say hell yeah, but that doesn't work. It's like heaven yeah. It reopens in 2026. Okay. T's and P's for our sanity with Buzz Lightyear. On to something else though. Spaceship Earth is going to close starting August 25th and reopen, it says later this year.
Ooh,
Unclear.
mysterious.
Well, I guess it's still better than the 2-year refurb that was planned. Yeah, should be back. It says it should be back later this year, and hopefully that's. If you are in America, there is a holiday this week, and enjoy your day off from work.
I get 2.
Oh,
Isn't that
nice.
exciting?
That is very nice. There's some special news happening around the House and the Mouse. So, Magic Kingdom. Celebrate America, a 4th of July concert in the sky, is going to be available on July 3rd and 4th at 9:20 p.m. 360-degree fireworks show dazzles the sky in red, white, and blue. There's also a bunch of DJ parties throughout the park. At Epcot, Luminous will play on the 4th of July, and then it'll be followed by an edition of The Heartbeat of Freedom. Spaceship Earth will be illuminated in red, white, and blue all night on July 4th. And then there will be special photo opportunities with patriotic pals, Mickey, Goofy, Pluto, and Chip and Dale at the American Adventure. I need Founding Father Chip and Dale like oxygen, actually.
They would be so cute.
Like, imagine them in little George Washington wigs. Like,
I know.
he's so good.
I feel like they would look in the nicest possible way very dopey.
No, he's a couple pavilions over. But
People can't see me sticking my tongue out at you.
But like I know I can Google what they look like in their patriotic wear, but it's more fun for me to speculate what they could look like in their patriotic wear. And I don't need my vision ruined, okay? Maybe Goofy is like a 1780s carpenter. I don't know. Snacks, though. There is
The way to anyone's heart.
True that. There's a new patriotic cake bar, which is a vanilla chiffon combined with passion fruit, orange, and guava juice. So that good old
Pog juice.
Available at Amorette's Patisserie in Disney Springs. Ooh, a caramel apple pie funnel cake.
Yum.
Ooh. It's going to be available beyond July 4th at Epic Eats and Hollywood Studios.
Ooh.
A berry shortcake at Columbia Harbor House. A red, white, and blue funnel cake. It's going to be topped with mixed berries, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, and festive sprinkles at Sleepy Hollow. There's a new red, white, and blue waffle. A waffle topped with mixed berries, vanilla ice cream, whipped cream, and festive sprinkles. Also at the Sleepy Hollow in Magic Kingdom. And a red, white, and blue slushie. A frozen Fanta Blue Raspberry and Fanta Cherry layered with whipped cream and topped with popping candies at Liberty Square Market in Magic Kingdom.
Do you think popping candies is the generic version of Pop Rocks?
Absolutely. Ooh, I could go for some Pop Rocks.
What an interesting combo of slushy, whipped cream, and Pop Rocks. Like, they make it sound way better than I just did.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have it.
I bet it is good, though.
Yeah, it's probably really refreshing. My mom's a connoisseur of the slushies, the frozen Cokes, as you will.
Mm-hmm.
And she's more into the Coca-Cola, but she would probably try this if she were down there.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be down for Fanta Cherry specifically. So you're definitely going to have a very colorful tongue post consuming that.
Yeah. I'm not going to say it. One thing to note with the 4th of July activities this week is that you're going to have some changes in access points. So if you are somebody who tries to park at resorts in the Magic Kingdom area and leave your car there when you're not supposed to, they're absolutely not going to let you do that this week.
Mhm.
So, here, just park at the TTC because also, especially at the Polynesian Village Resort, as normal, it'll require wristbands to use the viewing area on the beach for the 4th of July fireworks, and it is for registered guests of the Polynesian only. They tend to do wristband distribution at the front desk near Bell Services, but when you check in, if you're checking in this week, lucky, uh, look for some signs and ask around as to when they're going to do the distribution specifically. I saw some old flyers, but I don't know exactly as to when, like at the poly, they do the distribution. But check with the front desk, and I'm sure there will be plenty of signs. Also expect again stringencies at the Contemporary and the Grand Floridian as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it also extended to Epcot. Um, I wouldn't be surprised at all, actually. Um, Obviously, if you take Disney Resort transportation to a resort, you're able to stay there. You cannot go to the beach though, so the more premium viewing areas are reserved for guests at the resort only. In non-Independence Day news, we've talked about Disney Starlight Dream the Night Away coming to
Mhm.
Magic Kingdom this month, but I don't think we talked at all about the parade route. And, it's showing times. It'll be shown twice a night at 9 and 11, but it's going to start on Main Street and then go to Frontierland that way. So it's going to follow the parade route that parades usually do, but it's going to go quote unquote backwards.
Wild.
It is, but also after doing a little bit of research, I guess that's how all the night parades used to be.
Is it?
I,
I
I
mean, I have no way of remembering. I remember sitting in uh the square right in front of Main Street to watch electric
Main Street
uh,
Electrical Parade.
thank you.
I get confused. That one and the electrical water pageant, I go like back and
Mhm.
forth. But yeah, I did a little research on that, and apparently, when Spectro Magic went through the Magic Kingdom at night, that also went from Main Street, quote unquote, backwards. Compared to Festival of
Mhm.
Fantasy or Boo to You or the Cavalcades, it's gonna go that way, which I think also makes a lot of sense when you think about the fact that people are gonna want to scram.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you clear out the front of the park, then there's less of a if you do it that way.
Yeah, because if you've seen it come around the flagpole, like headed down Main Street, and you're trying to go get to the bus, thinking of the 11 p.m. showing, you're gonna scram. Like you don't, like once it clears out, all that stuff will be cleared. So
Mhm.
definitely interesting. And I'm so ready for a nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom again. Because it's gonna be like boom, first parade, boom, fireworks, boom, second parade. And it's kind of nice because those are people eaters, especially if you have two opportunities to see the nighttime parade, that
Mhm.
if you don't care to see it either time, you can go do something else. Um, just don't plan to go through Main Street. Like it can't be that much worse than like how crowding goes for Happily Ever After, you know?
Yeah, probably. And I mean, even during Happily Ever After, they do a pretty good job
Oh
of
yeah.
keeping people moving and making sure there's still always a path to go wherever you need to go.
Oh, for sure. Cuz I know that people used to think it was like kind of ridiculous how much people would line up for Happily Ever After. Like, well, when they used to have parades, they basically would just line up for parade and stay there in front of in the
Mhm.
hub near the castle. So, it's not really that different in principle. You just don't have something else to watch while you're waiting.
Yeah. All right, on to some Disney fun facts.
Oh yeah. A lot more than I would have thought would have come out on this day. So,
I was going to say it looks a little loaded.
all right, let's go. Cracks knuckles. On the 1st of July in 1975, the People Mover opens at Magic Kingdom.
Iconic.
Absolutely. Oh, my girl, she's 50. She's looking young. She is looking spruced up. She has done her squats so that she is a strong old lady. She's not an old lady yet, but she's
Mm.
She's
She's not getting osteoporosis.
no, no, she is definitely in the next 50 years going to be able to still take herself to the bathroom.
Which is wild because that's the ride we all go on because we can't go anymore.
You get after a race, you get the calf stretch on your way up the ramp,
Mhm.
and then you go chill, and then you get a little stretch on the way down too.
Yes, or your quads get tortured. However you want to view it.
Yeah, depends. On July 1st in 1987, effective today, Delta Airlines is the official airline of Walt Disney World, which makes sense
Wow.
because they had Delta Dream Flight where Buzz was.
Oh. I don't think I knew that.
Honestly, the only reason I do is because of the monorail and their M34D segment. um,
Okay.
but in the storied history of Buzz Lightyear, went through a couple different iterations, but Delta Dream Flight was one of them. I don't think Delta is
Okay.
the official airline of Walt Disney World anymore. But
Is there an official airline of Disney World anymore?
I don't know, maybe the Cars planes.
Yeah.
All right, ready for this? Ready for this? On
Mhm.
today in 1996, the boardwalk opens at Walt Disney World.
That's exciting.
It
I like the
is.
boardwalk. We run on the boardwalk a lot and hopefully don't fall.
Yeah, true that. And then on today in 2002, the Beach Club Villas open. So the Beach Club had been open, but the villas of the
Mm,
DVC side open.
okay. I would like to see one of those someday.
Can confirm they're pretty nice.
Ooh.
And then, final opening that I'm going to talk about today. On this day in 2007, Jumbo House Villas, which is phase one of the Animal Kingdom Lodge Villas, open at Walt Disney World.
You're right. It is a big day for hotels.
It truly is. It's a big day for DVC, especially.
Yeah. Maybe now is like I was going to say maybe this is when the like attendance and stuff picks up, but I actually don't think that's true. I think the further we move into summer, people have vacation, but it also gets really hot, so I think it starts to taper off a bit after the holiday.
But that's kind of if you think of the now, right? Where I feel like
Yeah,
Disney
that's
World in
true.
the summer used to be more of like, oh man, it's because it used to be like, oh, the fall cooler seasons, like there's nobody there. And like now I feel like that's shifting because a lot
Mhm.
of people are like, I'm gonna melt in July.
Yeah.
But also with more daylight, more time, and stuff, the parks are usually open later. So in terms of like feeling there's much of the crowding, that is also a little bit of a difference. But
Mhm.
yeah, big day for the Disney Vacation Club and deluxe resorts in general.
All right. Are you ready to get into our AMA or AUA since there's two of us?
Like a baby on their first birthday, I'm ready to smash this cake.
Nice. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 people sent in questions. Many people asked more than one question. So strap in, put on your running vest.
Pull on your yellow safety strap.
Yeah.
Hands.
And get hands up. Get ready. We're about to launch. Okay. This seems like an apropos thing to start with, especially if you haven't been with us since the beginning. And honestly, I don't know if you want to go back and listen to some of the stuff from the beginning. But Emily asks, podcast origin story. What made you want to start Stride Sisters?
You know, when you're yapping about it anyway. But essentially, we came together. We were already talking quite a bit. My wedding was around the corner, and personally, I've said this before, is that I wanted to talk about anything else but bride things. I needed another outlet that wasn't also my job. And
Yes.
so that's kind of set a lot of the groundwork of, you're always talking and enjoying and about Run Disney anyway. So
Mhm.
might as well record and just go for it. And I think personally, I've done a lot of learning things the hard way with respect to Run Disney. And I think, and I've had a lot of wonderful experiences, obviously, but I've learned a lot of things the hard way too. And I think that I give a lot of different people running advice anyway. Not that I'm in any way, shape, or form qualified to do so.
Uh-huh.
But
As we like to say over and over.
yes. So it was something where, if I can even help one person or, even like provide just some comfort or an LOL to them as they're running, as they're training, even if it's laughing at my chafed butt cheeks, I don't know.
It's probably mostly that.
True. Or just different Natalie misfortunes. It's funny, you can laugh at me. It's I wouldn't tell the story if I wasn't comfortable with people knowing about it. But or it wouldn't make the final edit if I wasn't comfortable with people knowing about it. But I think that it's just something where I don't know, I think we had something to give and
Mhm.
we were chatting about it anyway, so we decided to
Yeah.
put pen to paper.
Yeah, I was what, a year ago, I was actually, it was a little more than a year because we started talking about the podcast 3 to really seriously talking about the podcast at least 3 months before we actually ever put anything out.
Mhm.
Like, making spreadsheets of ideas, talking about what we would record, do we need equipment, all that, like, logistics stuff, and what we would talk about, and I was living by myself in the Pacific Northwest, and I just really needed another outlet of something to get me through because I wasn't having the best of times. And like Natalie said, we were chatting anyways, threw it in the chat, and it became so. I mean, I think I had to do a little more pushing. I think even though you were ready to yeet wedding planning and swap in something else, I think there was a little apprehension on your part of like, could we really do this? Is
Oh,
anyone ever going to listen? Like, why would we do that?
absolutely. I was the apprehensive one, and again, not that I felt like we didn't have, like, a plan, well, but it wasn't like a personal, but it was one of those, like, am I ready to commit to it, and am I
Mhm.
ready do I have the bandwidth for it?
Hence
And
waiting till after the wedding to actually do anything.
a lot going on at the moment. But it's not me if I'm not over indexing myself in any and every
Mhm.
capacity. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was the apprehensive one, which is I think
Which is
might surprise someone.
kind of crazy. Yeah, I think it's a little nuts because another part of, like, why we wanted to go for it was this was gonna be I knew by this point that this was gonna be my first dopey training block, and so I thought that would be, like, an interesting perspective of, like, someone who's done it before and someone who hasn't and all that jazz and, like, what it means to train for new distances and stuff, and yet you were you were worried about, like, a life balance, and I was like, "Meh, let the world hear about all of it, I guess." I don't know, also, I just figured, like, who cares if anyone listens?
I do have a bonus one that I didn't actually put in the outline, I don't think. Um,
Oh, you're trying to catch me off guard.
well, it's something that I solely answer. So, Holly asked, "What is the origin story of the Mr. Natalie nickname?"
Ah, yeah, yeah, only you can answer that.
Yeah, exactly. On inception of the podcast stuff, I kind of asked Mr. Natalie, I'm like, "What's your comfortability with?" Because, like, when you do, like, have media, when you are media, we are technically media-ish. We are just a don't get paid for this, deciders of what we do type of media. You have to make sure that your partner is comfortable with whatever. And he goes, not really a big fan of like my name being mentioned, like not that he's hiding necessarily, but And I was like, "Well, LOL, what if I just call you Mr. Natalie?" He goes, that works." So that is the origin of Mr. Natalie. There have been plenty of people who have asked, "Does he know you call him Mr. Natalie and not?"
Oh, yeah. He does.
He knows, he encourages it, and he appreciates it. He thinks it's funny. He actually thinks it's funny. And I hadn't started the name change process quite yet. So, but the joke was like, well, I took your last name. You can take my first name for a minute in my running podcast world. So that is the origin of Mr. Natalie.
All right, our next question is from Michelle. If you could pick the perfect themes, what would they be?
So I'm always down for 100 Acre Wood. I have championed 100 Acre Wood. I think from the time actually this was asked on Rise and Run, that's what I like brought up as my
Mhm.
ideal theme as a comment a couple years ago. Give me Eeyore on a medal with his little tail swinging. I need it like oxygen, thank you. I need it. But also it'd be such a good, cute theme. I think they could do a lot with like springy things with the medals with Tigger. Piglet's
Mhm.
adorable. Pooh Bear. You have Kanga. You could bring like a kids race with Roo. You can do Owl.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. And Christopher Robin, I guess, the one who brings them all together.
When we talked about the places, like we've talked about the places we would want to run, and also I think we kind of touched on this in one of our episodes, and I said Atlantis. That like the oh it was we did like if we could choose and like instantly Disney takes our money and we would be there, and I said Atlantis. Atlantis theme would be it for me. I would be so stoked. I think that would like could be an interesting like very interesting art, very
Oh, yeah.
different. Um and similar to like Tron, there's like a good element for like rave vibes. Which like
Night Race Rave.
yeah, it's you could do a night race. I mean, even when we run in the morning
True.
for a lot of the races, like it's dark for a while and it's basically a rave party at the parking lot. So definitely having a big party, an excuse for lots of neon and like bright lights and stuff. So I think that would be pretty fun.
Ooh, that would be so cool. Obviously, it's not me if I don't bring up the fact that give me Mary Poppins for Princess Weekend, please.
Mhm.
Imagine the penguins. Be so cute. But
Yeah.
I would even take Jolly Holiday Mary. So
I want an entire princess weekend where they pick different fairies.
that would be awesome.
Like I mean, I'm not saying I'm upset that they rotate through the same princesses and technically the fairies aren't princesses, but I just feel like it could be a fun spin to have different fairies from Pixie Hollow as the different races. Cuz you still get all the like fun colors and they all have personalities too. People probably don't know them as much as they know Tink, but
Fair.
I think it would be very fun.
I'd love a fairy godmother medal, like explicitly her,
Yeah.
or like a fairy godmother.
Instead of just like a sidekick to Cindy.
Yeah, that would be so cool to see, like just her on the half medal or her on the 10K, or that'd be awesome. And I would be a fan of that. We've had the fairies. We're having the fairies again for Wine and Dine because I'm manifesting I'm getting
Mhm.
a bib. So I'm saying we. Um, I'll get one, probably.
We will figure it out.
On to our next one. Amanda wants to know, what do you think it is that draws so many of us, even previous non runners, to do Run Disney? And then why can't we ever stop?
I mean, the answer to why we can't stop is because it's freaking amazing. Duh. Also, I'm pretty sure that in the little scent things, that they have in Disney rides and Disney parks, I think they're pumping like some kind of magical stuff that makes us have to be there.
They pump the adrenaline into us.
Yes. That's why we're all so awake and peppy at 5 a.m.
True. That is so true.
2 a.m. actually.
Yeah. At least for me, I think what has drawn me so much to Run Disney as somebody who had like a very small touch point with running previously to it is that I talked to so many people that were so welcoming and so like, "Oh, you could totally do that." When the idea, I started with the Princess 10K in 2020, talking to people on the way to the expo on the bus, like, "Oh yeah, you would totally be able to do that." Talking to people who I talked to a lady who is like, I meant to pull myself at mile 9, because she was, recovering from a knee injury. She's like, "But the next medical tent was, like, 2 miles ahead." She's like, "Well, I might as well finish it from this point." Queen, icon. And she said she was actually doing pretty well because I saw her after the race, and I remember being like, "Wow, you did the challenge? Hurt knee?" She's like, "You could totally do that." So, I think it's the ability and the acceptance of other people at Disney, there is not like an all one size fits all runner. There are so many people of varying abilities, varying speeds, varying dedication. There's a lot to offer and a lot of people that, are ultimately going for the same goals or just, they want to get to that finish line and are supportive of the other people in that same boat. So, I think for me it opened my eyes a lot just to running again in general because it felt like, "Oh, well, yeah, I could do that. I could totally do that. If I, put my mind to it, I train for it, and I dedicate myself to it." Like, yeah, okay, like, you believe I can do it, and I just met you, like, 3 minutes ago? Okay, then maybe I can. So, I think it very much enabled for me a yes and. Like, "Oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna try it." Right?
Run Disney is the biggest hype woman
True.
that has ever existed. Like the Run Disney community, that's just the vibe. We love and support everyone regardless. I like you said, could have met you 30 seconds ago and I'm about to be your biggest cheerleader and best friend for the rest of the weekend and possibly beyond if you aren't creeped out by my, request to be friends on Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean same. I you obviously were the reason that I started. Um, so a friend that I already knew, but then my first race weekend was just so fun. It started as like an excuse to like go on a yearly vacation kind of to a place that I wanted to go to, and it was so much fun. It was so rewarding. I had never felt so, I don't know, like excited and okay, maybe not never, but like as an adult maybe, I don't know. I felt really proud of myself and I felt like this, yeah, this sense of community that like everyone wanted everyone else to do well and be there, and there was just so much joy, like way more like let me tell you, like a local race is fun and I love a lot of local races, and we have a local Halloween race that people dress up in costumes and stuff, but the energy is not the same. So I think yeah, it's everyone that keeps me going back, and healthy disrespect for financial responsibility.
True. I think that personally, like, reestablishing myself as like, "Oh, yeah, I can totally do that and push myself and decide that I'm going to commit myself to something." And I don't really, even though I did run, and I guess for a little bit of background, I did like 1 year of cross country and track in high school as like a break from swimming. Um, Not my favorite year of my life, but it's not like I was this like historic, like always ran, really enjoyed it. I passed out on my first day of cross country practice. Okay. So it's not like we were like a gifted natural athlete here. But it was something where I didn't have, like, really the past to compare it to. Like, yes, do I still remember what my PR was from of when I was 16 in cross country? Yeah. But I don't, like, measure myself against it, and I feel like I can kind of continue to break my boundaries without having to compare to, like, past me, and, like, I do think I have a very healthy relationship with, like, understanding that, when I'm almost double the age I was back then, that, like, I'm not gonna do the same things in the same way because I'm gonna be a fifth third better. Boom.
I have no recollection of whatever speed. I mean, I vaguely remember what pace-ish I could run a mile in high school because we had to do the mile for gym, and that was enough for me. And they made us run for swimming. Blech.
All right, let's go on to the next one. You're chewing, so I'm gonna take it. Uh,
Oops.
You're good. This is from Christina. She asked, "What intrigued you to start running?"
So, COVID and Natalie.
Yes.
That's about it. And Disney. I had to run, like we mentioned in the previous uh life, hated it. Was also on cross country for like a season, hurt myself,
Same.
and never wanted to do it again. And yet, here we are. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought once I learned about intervals. That's what kept me going, that and Disney.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, I'm gonna respond also with Maz is what intrigued me to start running, and she was the one who started all this, and because she had signed up for the Princess 10K, so as most things, I had to sign up for it too. But I remember as hard as that race was, I remember going home and I was intrigued. And this was like in the COVID is a thing, but like not like a US is fully shut down yet type of thing. And I remember going on a couple runs and I was like, oh, like that felt really good. That was fun. I can't believe I just ran like 5 miles. And it was like, oh, interesting. That's where my like kind of rationale was, where it's like, ooh, this is actually kind of fun. Um, and I think
Curiosity did not kill the cat.
it did not. Bank account, maybe, but uh, many of my pairs of shoes that have now gone to the great beyond. Yes, but it was. Intrigue is just actually a really great word for it because I was like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. And I do talk about that year of cross country and track I did. But yeah, I remember there was always the intrigue, and then obviously the Disney of it all was, that's where the kind of where the AP challenge also, where if I run this
Ooh.
much by a certain date, I can keep my AP, because if I want to keep it for purposes of running and at running at Disney, then I need to be training. So I actually did finish my mileage this week. I don't think I mentioned that in the training update, but
Woo!
I hit my goal. I still have like 3 weeks before my AP expires, so not that I didn't think I was gonna hit it, but so plenty of time to spare. But yeah.
She also increases her goal every year. So,
Yeah. This year I think I'm gonna have to not increase it by as much, where I've been going up 50 miles a year. But it's not like the deadline changes.
mhm.
So this year was particularly difficult. I guess for me it was.
Considering you already run every weekend, like there's only so much more you can run.
Yeah, and then there's also being sick, burnout. The month of March and running and me just don't get along super well.
Mhm.
Because daylight savings time just f's me up. But yeah, so this year it was 350 miles, and that does count race miles. It does count walking miles. I haven't been in a pool to lap swim in years, actually probably half a decade at this point. When If I could find a conversion, actually, TBH, I probably would count that, but not doesn't count that. But yeah, it was 350. It was 300 last year, 350 this year. I think next year it might be 375, unless I'm feeling particularly squirrely. I don't know, because 350 was a little tougher than I think I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
But hey, I made it
it's a lot.
with plenty of
Good
time.
job. What was your first race ever? Was it a Disney race?
Are we counting cross country?
No, I don't think we should count anything from like high school
Okay.
or earlier.
So, then it probably would be Disney, because then there was things that I did, like the Frigid 5K, which was something around my hometown. But I think the last time I participated in that, I was still in high school. So I think that was still a high school thing. And not even because I remember I think I did that and then went to my swimming banquet or whatever. So like it's not like it was just the year of cross
Oh,
country.
but you did it outside of like a sports team. Maybe that
Yeah,
should be
I
the
did it voluntarily,
qualifier.
which gross. No, I'm kidding. When I count out up how many races I've done, though, I do not count that because there's so much gray area and I don't remember. I need to count.
Yeah.
There's my like life before and like life as an adult.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we ever did like turkey trots or
we
anything
didn't.
like that until I started running for Run Disney. And then I talked my family into doing them.
Nice.
But I think my first race ever would be the Halloween 5K that I signed myself up for here in Atlanta. It would have been the October before my first Run Disney race because I had signed up for that Run Disney race and I was like, "Oh, this looks fun. Well, let's put a halfway milestone, I guess." Ish. I don't know if it was really it wasn't really halfway considering I was doing Springtime Surprise, but I signed up. Well, you sign up in summer, June ish.
That one would have
Back
been
then,
August.
July.
Why do I
Oh,
remember that?
wow. Very late. We signed up in August. So yeah, it was a few months later and then I had quite a wait till Springtime Surprise, but yeah, that 5K, that's also my 5K PR because I've not run a 5K to feel like I'm dying since then.
Felt. Christina also asked, how many races have you done?
Oh dear. Yours is way higher than mine. We got that 5K. We have Springtime Surprise 10 miler. Then we've got Princess Disney was the next Disney race. Then Wine and Dine, half. Then oh wait, that princess one though, I did the 10K and the half. So we're up to 5. Wine and Dine, I just did that half. That's the 5th. And then Marathon Weekend. So Dopey, so that's 4 more. And then Princess after that. And I also did all of them. So that's 3 more. 1, 2, 3. So now we're up to 12. And I've done I did a 5K or a 4 miler. It wasn't a 5K, so it's a little bit further recently here in Atlanta. And then I've done a turkey trot pretty much the last 2 or 3 years with my family. So 15 or 16, something like that. I think that's all of them.
So Springtime Surprise 10 miler was my 40th Run Disney race.
Oh my god.
Right. Right. So just starting there. And then if you count, I've done 2 more in the last few years because I did the Cornfield 10K in 2022 out here in Nebraska. It's a lovely event. It just time-wise has not really worked out for me to do the last couple of years. And then I did the Time to Patty Lucky 13.1 in 2024, and that's where my PR sits. And then I got this little ditty around Chicago in the fall.
I have a lot of races coming up.
You
I
do.
have Peachtree literally this week. Wish me luck. Then in August, we're running the Area 13.1. Then in September, I don't think I have anything yet. October or maybe November, I don't know. There's a Spartan and Wine and Dine.
Wine and Dine's October.
And then Spartan is November. Then I'll probably also have a turkey trot. And then Marathon Weekend will be another one, hopefully. Multiple ones. And Princess we're signed up for. So there's a lot in the docket. I've got something almost every month for the foreseeable future.
That's impressive.
So hopefully that helps me stay motivated. I don't know. Trying to trick myself.
Felt. So she also asks, what are your next big goals to achieve?
I mean, I know we always say that Disney races aren't the races to be going for PRs, although we regularly do that. So, mm,
Sus.
have fun. Yes, us. I honestly, my next big goal, everything happening now is just to keep me like motivated to keep going and having fun because races are fun. But my next big goal is for marathon weekend. I want to finally hit sub 6 hours for my marathon. I know I have it in me. I just I got to work on my mental game. I still I mean I've only done 2 guys. I'm not an expert or anything. But it's something in the second half with it's not even that my legs hurt or that I'm tired. It's that my bottoms of my feet hurt.
Hmm.
It doesn't happen very much in training runs, so I don't know why it has happened to me both races I've run, but the bottoms of my feet just absolutely kill. And some part of that maybe is normal. I don't know. Some of that to just like be running that far. But some of that I also think is just like I don't deal with that specific pain very well mentally.
Mm,
And so I think I need more practice in that arena to keep pushing when my feet hurt.
interesting.
Also might be trying more caffeine more often, and I think that might help.
You'll be dancing on a pony to pink pony club after the marathon too.
Oh, yes, I will.
That's happening either way.
But it'll be a lively dance.
Exactly. It'll be basically a jig.
Uh-huh.
So you put a number to it, so I'll put a number to it. My next big goal is sub 5 at Chicago. And I have been waffling over actually just saying it out loud for like Edward and Bella. It's like, say it. I'm a vampire. Uh, but I know what you are. A sub 5 hour marathon. Um, it's scary to say that out loud. But I guess I already broke the seal there by bringing up what my PRs are for the half earlier anyway. So let's go. Um,
Yeah. We just always want to be careful because we don't want you guys to ever compare how we run to how you run and make you feel good or bad or anything about how you run. You should be proud of yourself.
exactly. We are very, very pace inclusive here. Is that it's a hell of a lot of effort to even get out there. So, uh, I also, I mean, I'm just gonna say it is that it's putting it out into the public sphere of it's July 1st. You guys can hear
Mhm.
me declare this is my goal. And I think that there's strength in saying it, even if I don't hit it later. So,
Mhm.
and you know what? We're ripping band-aids anyway. So, my current PR is a 5:17, which I ran at the end of Dopey. So,
Crushed it.
yeah, I did not know I had that dog in me because I was really going for like a 5:25, maybe 5:23 was like, I was like, "Ooh, that's like a good day." And as it started ticking lower and lower, my estimated times, I was like, "Oh," and then I was holding on for dear life. But I think there's strength in saying it, and even if things don't go to plan, and even if, obviously we have not started off like particularly great in the marathon training this cycle. In terms of I've been sick. It's better to get it out of the way now, but like I was sick and then I had a different type of sickness and then I was back to being sick again. I haven't done a speed workout since May. And I think I'm trying to like walk myself down from like tweaking, which is not really something I find easy to do in general. But again, I think there's strength in just putting the number out there and saying it, especially, I guess we were asked, so we have to share. No, I'm kidding. But, um, even if I don't hit it, I'm going to be fine. There's still time to do it. But I do think I need to have the belief in myself that other people have in me. And
Yeah, that's hard.
yeah. In a lot of capacities where our coach, Kristen, she doesn't think that she's like, she doesn't think that that's going to be hard at all. Not that it's not gonna be hard to race a marathon, but based on I ran a 5:17 at the end of Dopey. So
It's highly attainable.
so, we will see. We will see how things shake out. I think my next goal, I mean, I really, with this whole POT debacle thing, with it being in my maiden name and whatnot, I also want to run another a dopey approved POT. So getting back under that 222. I'd really like, well, my next half goal is under 215. Um because I mean, that used to in the last couple of years, that was the cutoff of POT in the first couple of years post COVID. So I know it was 2 hours and then it went to 215 for a few years. And I remember thinking that that was an impossible, far in the distance. Can't imagine doing that. So then when I ran a 217, I was like, no way. I literally said to my husband at the finish line, fiance at the time, I was like, no way. Absolutely no way did I just run that. So I think that again, that's my next goal, and then this also would be nice to just put this POT stuff to bed.
Mhm.
It's scary saying those goals in the future. Yeah,
You've got this.
and it's okay if I don't. Right? It's not going to.
Yeah. I would like to accidentally get a POT along the way. We'll see. I got really close during Princess.
Yeah,
So,
maybe the
it's in
POTs
the
were
cards.
the friends we made along the way.
Christina also wants to know, this is her final question, I think,
Yes.
is do we plan on reaching ultra status? Okay. Ultra is anything over marathon distance, so I would actually say technically no. I do not plan to go to ultra distance. I already don't like how my feet hurt during the marathon. However, the whole reason I even like had the courage to go for a marathon distance in the first place is because Ben has been telling me since we got together that he has this dream of being an Ironman someday. We'll see if that happens. But part of doing an Ironman is doing a marathon at the end after you've done the swimming and the biking. And it may not be an ultra in the sense that like just running, but it is like the epitome of triathlon. So it kind of feels ultra-y to me. Um so that's like my highest distance goal that I could imagine for myself right now. But I also thought I would never run a marathon, so who knows?
Fair. I think at some point, yeah. Originally, the goal was, by the time I'm 31, I want to have because a 50K is 31 miles. Is that I want to have done an ultra. I am revising that a little bit because when you're on the precipice of your 30th, 31 is a lot closer than it appears, and I don't like that. So but also just kind of if I think through what all my different goals are and, you know, I know what like into the spring of 26 looks like for now, but like what am I going to want to do in the fall? Like and stuff like that. Like obviously that kind of eats into your well, Marine Corps has a 50K because I really want to do Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Oh, I,
Okay, maybe I'll end up in the if you do it, I'll do it category,
okay,
but
bet. You know that that's a
oh no.
dangerous assumption with me. That's called bet.
Oh. Because 31 point whatever miles, it's an extra 5K. No, an extra 10K, right?
Even less than that.
Ish.
Yeah, it's 5 miles.
Yeah, technically
Less
it's
than.
7 point something K. Um doesn't like when you've already committed to the training of either dopey or a marathon, meh,
How bad could it be?
we could do
We
it.
could.
Do I want to regularly do that? No. No, no.
What if you get like
But maybe
a
once
dick?
for you.
Okay, yeah, but if you like are like, oh, this is it. Like, what if like, yeah, what if
50Ks?
that's like,
Highly doubt that. I don't think I could. I mean, no, I highly doubt that. Marathon is way too much fun at Disney for me to want to do that level of training plus a little bit more some other type of year or some other time of year in order to accommodate that, because I'm not going to like ditch out on Disney unless it's, I don't know what, some race in some other country maybe. I feel like that would be the only way you're convincing me.
Fair. Fair.
No.
So not to make things confusing, but next is from Christine. Just in the lineup of
Who is indeed a different person. We love you.
yes, we do.
Just want to be clear.
Runcation dreaming. She asked, "What is the most underrated city you've ever visited?"
That's hard. I mean, for it to be underrated, do people have to know about it? At least a little bit?
Well, like probably know of it, but I wouldn't say.
Yeah, see, that's. I don't know, because like my gut reaction is to say I don't even remember the name of the town. So like that's a problem. I'd have to look it up from the geotag on my photos. But the place in Slovenia that I went on my study abroad,
Ooh.
loved it there. But yeah, probably that or one like I just really liked all the small towns that we went to. Of the big places, probably Vienna.
Ooh. I've never been.
You know, when people talk about like at least in Europe, they talk about London and Barcelona and Rome or Florence, and I don't think people talk about Vienna that much or many of the countries that were part of the Habsburg Empire.
I took German, so like I'm sitting here like, what? People don't talk about that? But like I took
Yeah, I mean, if you took German, then they do.
like, well, I took German, so like of course we talking about Berlin.
But like German is like at least okay, so at my high school we had Japanese, we had German, we had Latin, we had French, Spanish, Chinese. I assume Mandarin. I don't know. I didn't take it. We had a lot of options. German was not a popular option.
No, it wasn't.
So, you know, if you're in the know, then you're in the know. But I don't think a lot of people talk about German countries, German speaking countries. Hey, we loved Luxembourg at Miami. That was a very popular. I mean, I've never been, but that was a very popular country to visit if you went to Miami.
Yes, it was because that's where we had a campus.
Yeah.
Not that I ever went, because that's one thing I didn't get to do. So I was thinking even in the United States originally, but I love Munich. So speaking of German country or German speaking countries, I quite love Munich. I wouldn't say it's super underrated though, but again, my perception is different because I took 7 years of German.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to make a case for Cincinnati, Ohio.
You think Cincinnati is underrated?
I think Cincinnati is so underrated.
Natalie got engaged in Cincinnati or the Cincinnati area. So she may be biased.
Yes. Oh yeah. I am not saying at all that this isn't biased. I also one thing that I do another city I think is somewhat underrated is Kansas City, but that's not my number one. Cincinnati has like, so again, I'm from the Midwest originally, so the creature comfort of friendly people and whatnot, that is home to me. It doesn't hurt that, I also have a ton of friends still in Cincinnati, Ohio, because, I lived there for several years post grad when my college is in the suburbs of where I met my husband, where my husband and I got engaged. Okay, I know I have nostalgia goggles on, but Cincinnati is a lovely place. It has an amazing zoo. That is like big for me.
Okay.
There's a lot of sports. They have FC Cincinnati. They have the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not saying they're good. I'm just saying it's fun. They have the Bengals, which have been better over the last few years, but again, not saying it's good. Um, the airport is my favorite airport, and again, this is because I spent a lot of time in this airport because this is during the traveling consultant era. But it's got a big airport feel because it used to be the headquarters of Northwest Airlines, which was bought by Delta. Uh, Headquarters. So it's got a really big airport feel, but not a lot of people actually going through it. So there's like room to walk around, flex your elbows. When I was stuck in the airport for hours and hours on end, there were places to go and not feel like you were a sardine in a can, like at Midway. But it's like 5-ish hours from Chicago. It's got good proximity to other parts of the US, right? My flights to DC, a little over an hour. My flights to Chicago were under an hour. My flights to Orlando were about 2 hours, a little less. Um, Columbus, Ohio, also a great town, only 2 hours away by car, actually less than. Kings Island is an amazing theme park, okay? It's, got a public ivy in its which where we went to school. I'm not saying this is logical,
No.
okay? I'm not saying, but I truly do think that Cincinnati is a pretty underrated city. I think that the German atmosphere, the Oktoberfest, the friendly people, the fact that, again, it's nostalgia goggles here, but I think
Mm.
Cincinnati is criminally underrated, and I think you should visit. I am afraid of Cincinnati Skyline chili, but
If you like chili dogs, it's fine.
yeah, I just like the commercialized chili scares me.
There's an absurd amount of cheese on them, like shredded. Like basically, you can't see the hot dog. They put so much cheese on the plate.
And chili is like my favorite food too. So and I like hot dogs. So like there's a cognitive dissonance going on here. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying that that's just how the brain works. Grater's ice cream though.
Hmm.
Actually, UDF, United Dairy Farmers,
Oh, UDF is good for a milkshake.
a black raspberry chip milkshake with chocolate milk in it would cure me.
Whoa, that sounds good. Now I'm gonna have to go to Cookout and get a shake.
Ooh, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do legitimately I do think that Cincinnati is a pretty underrated city. There's so much to do there. It's just such a it's a beautiful city, like how it's kind of nestled in the hills because Cincinnati again, if you're not from the US or like you don't care about Ohio, fine. But like Ohio's like a square and like Cincinnati is in like a bottom corner and like it's right by Kentucky. So you're kind of like getting into the south, so like the hillier areas. So it's just the way that it nestled, like, you kind of going down 74 or 71 toward the city, and then like you see a hill, you pass a hill, and then it's like, oh, here's the city. And yeah, it helps that I have friends there.
Yeah. If I have to pick a US city, I'm going for Greenville, South Carolina.
Ooh.
It's beautiful. It's where my grandma lives. It has been it has changed a lot since I was a kid. It's always been beautiful, but they have done so much work and put so much work into the downtown area. It has grown so much. I love going there, obviously to visit my grandparents. But um one of my favorite restaurants is there called Smoke on the Water,
Ooh.
and the park is just gorgeous. There's a beautiful river that runs through it. They've got so much green space. Everyone's there is super nice. There's a really cool like architectural bridge that goes over the park that you can go on, and they just built a new hotel there that's like kind of Germany esque, like inspired in its architecture. Looks like a castle up on like a cliff, kind of. But yeah, just overall Greenville is gorgeous and the people are nice and you can walk around forever. So I like it a lot. All right, on to Carissa. She says, "What's your favorite metal?"
God, this is so hard to answer. Like, because there's a fair bit of recency bias in it, right? Of,
Hmm.
oh, and there's also a story behind a lot of different metals too, of like, coast to coast and how that went, and dopey and my first marathon. And so it's so hard to just pick one. But I guess if I had to pick one, I'm just gonna lean into the recency bias, and I'll go the marathon this year.
Oh, mine is my Dopey medal from this year. Obviously, it was my first one, so it's special in that way. But also, purple is my favorite color.
Fair.
And I love to see the reaction on people's face when they don't know that it opens and you like spin it open. Priceless. Especially that like 7-year-old or whatever that was on the monorail who was just fascinated.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna do like a quick runner up. My first dopey, so 2023, the 10. Just because I just remembered when I got my replacement medal, as I had finally pestered runDisney enough. I just followed up politely, as one does. And I remember getting the new medal without paint chips on there, and I cried. So I feel like that's also a pretty
Oh.
strong contender. And it was like 6 months post Dopey. Oh, I think I have to kind of also include that I had, a like emotional, because I had to put it on duh, and I had an emotional reaction to receiving the non-chipped paint Dopey, which I still love my chipped paint one. She also asks, are you team running vest or team handheld
Vest.
vest?
1000%. Ben is, I think, still team running like handhelds. He has a belt, but he prefers to hold. I can't stand the sensation of holding anything heavy, like not even the weight of my phone. So if it weighs more than my phone, can't do it. I don't even like carrying my phone while I run. Definitely team vest. Had to have a belt from the get-go as soon as I had to start carrying stuff because girl, running products just like the rest of our stuff has no
True.
pockets. We're working on the side pockets, but like very limited storage ability. Um so definitely team vest for sure.
I concur. Although I'm not gonna I hate to say it, but I think okay. So I am still team vest, but I think I'm trying to trick myself into being team handheld because Chicago does not allow vests. So I think I'm trying to
I mean, you can wear your empty one. No bladder.
true. I'm just trying to like gaslight myself a little bit into, oh yeah, you don't want to wear the vest, do you? I do want to wear the vest because I like being hydrated, but I'm just trying to I'm trying to do acceptance because then also, I mean, because it's a million bajillion trillion degrees and humid and stuff like that, not having that extra layer, again, I'm trying to get to a point of acceptance, kind of.
Mhm.
So I have also kind of my variety, and because obviously Chicago will start later than Disney does. So I'll probably be in
Mhm.
the sun for all, if not probably all of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
It could be
You
warm.
probably won't start until like 11.
Yeah. So great because that's probably around when I in the winter when I start my long runs, but whatever. But I'm trying to get myself comfortable with change, and I don't like change. So I mean I like some change, but
Mhm.
but I hold my phone. I used to exclude okay. I used to exclusively hold my phone because I would not use the Fitbit GPS on my Fitbit. I would use it on my phone. I would use the GPS on my phone. So to check my intervals, I would have to hold the phone and I would have to look at the phone. So I'm used to holding something.
Mm.
That doesn't bother
No,
me
thank you.
at all. But I also don't want to have my hand trapped.
Oh, this is definitely a reason why I have not very much footage during races. Even when it's party, like I'm not trying for speed or anything. I just don't like holding it. So like if I have to stop to take a picture or whatever, it goes immediately back into the vest. But it also means like because I have to take it out of the vest, am I really gonna like is it I have to go through the whole mental gymnastics. Do I really want a photo? Do I really want to reply to that text?
Fair. And then I just FaceTime all my friends and family. Uh with just from the pocket.
Butt dial.
Whoopsie.
What's your current favorite fuel? Mine's Cliff Block Sour Apple.
Oof. It's so hard to pick one. Duh, of course. Surprise.
Or the Scratch. I also really like the Scratch sour cherry.
Oh, those are
Those
so
are really
good.
good too. They also have a fun textural
They
element
do. Mm,
because they're like coated in sugar.
yeah. Very, very tasty.
Little crunchy.
Mm. It's hard for me to pick one favorite, so I'm gonna give a couple, like, of my favorite. So
It's
Tailwind.
always salted lime, isn't
Oh,
it?
salted lime goo. I have not wait, wait, wait. I have not had a salted lime goo yet this marathon training block, and maybe that's why everything is not going the way I wanted to. I think that could have maybe
Yeah.
helped me not get a sinus infection or, a bladder one or the other sinus infection. So that is okay, thank you.
Secretly developing scurvy.
Stride Sisters on scurvy. Yeah, so actually, no, it's the salted lime, but, yeah, yeah, it's the salted li it's forever and always
Yeah.
salted lime goo.
I don't like Tailwind, like, at all.
Really?
It reminds me of how LaCroix just kinda tastes like a hint of something, and I can't get behind it. I also don't like sparkling water, so I don't like LaCroix for many reasons, but
Interesting, because I feel like
yeah.
I usually get a decent amount of flavor out of my Tailwind?
Maybe it has to do with, like, how I've mixed it up in the past. Maybe I've just not mixed it up in a high enough concentration or something, because I do like the scratch version, like, there's lots of brands that do the, like, high carb mix into your water, and I prefer scratch. So I've done their high carb before, and I've done the regular. Yeah. But she's team element for running, but we both are team liquid IV outside of running. Love that firecracker
Oh,
liquid IV from Costco.
ooh, ooh, beautiful.
And salt tabs. Love salt tabs too.
Yeah.
I like to have multiple options for all the things. So like I know we talked about favorite fuel, but I like to have a gummy, I like to have a gel, either honey stinger or Morton. Those are the only two I tolerate. And then I like to have a drinkable fuel. And then the same goes for my electrolytes. I like to have a bottle of extra electrolytes. And then I also like to have my salt tabs so that I can alternate and keep it interesting. Bonus points if you have multiple different flavors of salt tabs.
I'm all about keeping it interesting, which I have so much to I have so much that I think I'll treat myself to looking at the feed in, like, late August, so, I can make sure I have my favorites, like salted lime
Hmm.
out the wazoo, but, I need to work through my stash at the moment of different fuels because I loaded up for Dopey like I was fueling every 15 minutes, I swear. Um,
Yeah. Well, I fuel every 20, so you're not far off.
do you really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. 'Cause
Hmm.
I was experimenting during the fall with, like, I was, like, 27, like, taking it just a smidge early, and I liked it a lot. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hmm. I used to do every 30. That's what I started with. And then I was still having so much trouble on how I was feeling in my long runs training for Dopey that probably right before Wine and Dine last year was when I started trialing every 20 minutes. And then Wine and Dine was the best I've ever felt ever.
Hmm.
And I was like, I guess this works.
Ooh, nice.
So, yeah. But also when it's hot, you have to fuel more.
Mhm.
You need more fuel, you need more electrolytes, you need more everything when it's hot. So prepare yourself and, stay healthy this summer.
Alright. Next question comes from Travis, and we got a whole slew of them from him. If you could interview or have on the podcast someone that you haven't already, who would you want to talk to? And it could be anyone.
I don't know. My gut is to say Jeff Galloway. I mean, we get to talk to him at the expo, but like
My
it would be cool to have a full on conversation where there's not someone standing a few feet from you waiting for you to leave.
mood.
Or maybe Carissa, or like to have someone like cool from Run Disney would be amazing. Also, all of our friends. We have we have so many people we want to record with, and like the list, but scheduling when people have lives is hard.
Yes.
But we're happy everyone has lives, so
If I've reached out to you and I haven't actually set a time with you, we're working on that. That's like my day off this week where I'm going to start working on that. Where 'cause things have just been really, really chaotic on my end with work.
Yeah, Natalie's the one who generally organizes such things because she's the one who's good at talking to strangers.
Hello. I'm a middle child. Um, so my first reaction also was Jeff Galloway, but I'm like, "Oh, well, they are, like, Rise and Run obviously has, like, first dibs to Jeff." Although I'm his close personal friend, and because I was posted on his Instagram once, so I think I could get it in. No, I'm kidding. But, I'd love to hear, like, I'd love to also hear from people who, like, do some more of the backstage and, like, or, like, behind the scenes work with Run
Ooh.
Disney. Um,
Mhm.
but I gotta say
We should talk to the people who make the themes. We need to have a chat with them.
I'd love to know their process. Even like I would absolutely, and I know that they would never ever share it, but I'd love to know. I'd love
But maybe they could tell us about, like, even if they don't tell us their process, like, what the timeline of stuff looks
yeah.
like how long it takes to, like, prepare for a race.
Oh, I'd love it.
That would be fun.
That'd be amazing. But I gotta say, my answer is Des Linden. If I
Oh, yeah.
it would have to be Des. I would have to absolutely interview Des if possible. A fellow podcaster, Des Linden, because we have the in with of course participant sharer KG with Des Linden's final
Mhm.
professional marathon. So like they're obviously already best friends. But yeah, Des is mine. Or Molly
Okay.
Seidel.
I w I would like to add Cece.
Oh my god, yes.
Do you think Cece would be offended that I was running away from them during the
I
marathon
think he's used to it.
or the half or whatever? I don't remember whenever. Oh, no, it was the half. Princess half.
I believe pacers have said, and I think actually Jax said this on Rise and Run sometime in the last like couple months or so, that a pacer's dream is that you run away from them because you feel so good and you leave them in the dust your last mile. They love when that happens because then when they can, we report back, oh my God, I PR'd by so much and you guys helped me. So they love when you run away from them. Play as long as you're not like weird about it, I guess. Like crop dust him on the way out. But
Oh, I know.
but
I was gonna say I make no promises to not be weird, but I would never do
yeah,
such.
God. Because we know you don't trust that. Anyway, but yeah, Des, Molly Seidel, um, because we can dream. So uh,
Mhm.
that I'm gonna dream.
Our next question also comes from Travis. He says, "You're in charge of Run Disney. What is one thing you would change, and why would it be the night race through Animal Kingdom with Pandora all lit up?" So really, we don't have a choice. Travis is telling us what it has to be.
True that.
But also, don't you think like the Pandora mix with Atlantis? What if we just like did all the things that light up in one night race?
Main Street Electrical Parade 2, because it's lighty and sparkly glowy.
Mhm.
That'd be amazing. I'd say like on a
I could see it.
course front, like I would love to
Yeah.
have like one race that has that kind of variety with it. And like
Mhm.
I'd love to see a nighttime like challenge like that come back. But on a course kind of standpoint, that would be awesome. Because I do try to be like realistic with it because everyone's like less highway time. I'm like, how do you think you get to Magic Kingdom? Like like between if you start at Epcot and you want to run through the castle, how do you think you get there?
Mhm.
There's only so many ways. I mean, I guess also I would kind of like to see the old Wine and Dine course come back. Again, not that I ever ran it, but the old course where you started in the TTC parking lot, ran basically the second half of the marathon. So
Mm.
down to Animal Kingdom, then I don't think it went through Blizzard Beach, but somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, to Hollywood and then Epcot and finishing at Epcot. That's on the course front. I'd say that something I am a champion for, and I have been a champion for a long time, is expanding proof of time and also making corrals smaller. I think
Oh, mhm.
like so it'd be cool if POT got back to like the 245. And I also think closer, maybe not exactly the way that Disneyland does it, where it's just okay, go. Because I know that that's how it used to be. I would like to see things so that it was maybe like one or or two or three groups in one corral. I think that that's a lot more reasonable and like actually slotting people closer to people who will run that pace or have like demonstrated that they can run that pace. I think
Mhm.
that that would just reduce a lot of the agony. Like if you break it into like 15-minute slots essentially in like each
Yeah.
starting
I
time.
mean, that's how Peachtree is coming up. Peachtree goes from A to Z,
Wow.
full alphabet. There's little chunks. So I don't think, and maybe it's like I think we've talked about this before, that maybe it's because it's that being so far back in the alphabet, maybe that's demoralizing or something. But like
They used to do it
they're
at
already
Disney.
they used to do it. They're already splitting up now. We have sub corrals, and then you have waves within the sub corrals. So like, why not just make different letters? But maybe it's hard with the stanchions dividing people up. I don't know. I don't know what exactly the hang up is to going back to that, but
Part of it was the highway start. So, they haven't done the highway start since the Princess Half Marathon in 2023. I missed the highway start. Anyway, but that allowed them a lot more space because, if you are a little bit newer to Run Disney even than that was, so how it was A through D was, on the roadway, like out on the highway, and then E and F were kind of like
mhm,
off to the side and they just kind of filtered in once I think like by the time like D was up near C was basically they like filtered in. But you were in a line. So like at Disneyland and you just walked up. And essentially you walked straight. I mean, I was in D or C for all of these races that I did a highway start on. So I just walked up. So they had a lot more space to make the smaller corrals and kind of take you back further when that was the
mhm,
case. That is administratively difficult, I think, I've read that obviously is more logistics. It's more logistics to have to go then set up the stage out on the highway, like right outside Port Orleans. That's
mhm.
essentially where the start was. And there is like administrative difficulty with that. So I'd love to see that come back again, like, especially if it led to the ease of splitting people into corrals and sorting people a little bit more appropriately. I think that would be wonderful, to be honest. Um, but a girly can dream because I obviously just gave a bunch of reasons why, like, sometimes administratively it doesn't work so well. So, what about you?
I don't know. I like them. Like the only time I ever, literally the only time I ever feel like I complain, I guess, is I don't love the parts of the course that have us running on sidewalks. Like there's so many people. It's just it's obviously going to become a chokehold. Like we already get bottlenecks on the highway because there's so many people. And then you filter us down to a single sidewalk as well. And that's really tough. And I just kind of accept that if I'm get stuck in a run or a walk segment in that range, that I'm just not going to be able to do my intervals because I just need to keep moving. Because if you try and move, then you're going to be stuck in one or the
Mhm.
other. It's just a lot harder to do that without accidentally hitting someone in the face or shoving someone in the elbow, or like there's not much room. There's no elbow room, to be honest. So if there would be any way to change the course, I know that would obviously then put us more onto maybe more highway time and stuff, but I don't love running on the very small sidewalks. Uh and then the other thing is I would like to talk to Disney IT and figure out why they can't solve the dwarf problem.
God. Wouldn't we all?
I would make the executive decision to put a freeze on any enhancement or whatever, and we need to just do a code review. We need to discuss latency. We need to do some load testing. Like, we're going to have a whole situation. I think there's a lot of work to be done. And Disney has the money for it. So,
That they do.
and if it's because some other company is managing the website, they have the power. They have the big stick. They can tell that company what to do. Get it right.
True.
All right. What's the biggest piece of advice you would give someone looking to start Run Disney?
That's such a good question. Because if I have to pick one, I'm not very good at that. I think that leaning into the there's a lot of resources online. So I think that trying to engage in what you can without it becoming information overload is great. I think finding the inspiration from different people, different accounts, different obviously we have a podcast, so we're a little biased. To be cool if you listened to this, but if you're already here, you're already listening. But in seriousness, though, I think that finding your community is really, really important, and finding people who like the things you do. So, like something like I had done Run Disney prior to like joining a lot of Facebook groups and whatnot, but I don't think I really joined groups and whatnot until I came back for Princess in 2022 when I did my first half marathon, because I was like, whoa, like I gotta lock in. And that's like when I found the Rise and Run podcast and finding the Run Disney, or a bunch of really, really wonderful people. So I think that finding different people who you know and listening to their stories. So I'd say that being open to like hearing people and like what they have to say, kind of looking into stuff, get ready to be broke. And don't neglect training.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun if you
Uh,
train.
that's true. It is very true. It's much more fun if you train. Um, I feel like my biggest piece of advice is not it's okay. This is more specific to like starting any running journey and racing rather than maybe specifically Run Disney, but it's focus on the fun. Don't let like goals or times or anything get the better of you and become like your focus when you're first starting out on something, because I think lead it could lead to some like hurt feelings or not meeting expectations, because you never know, like when you've started something, like putting too high of expectations on something makes it not fun anymore.
Hmm.
And Front Disney is specifically all about having fun. And it would suck if you put so much pressure on yourself along the way that you never even got to see how fun it was. So, yeah, I would say that. And part of being able to make it so fun is your community, like Natalie said. Your friends make it so much better. Like if you check out our friends at Main Street Marathoners, they have challenges every month. Our coach Kristen, she's got so many training programs. She's got her Facebook page, Don't Be Strong. There's tons of people to talk to in there. People do group costumes and meetups, and people meet one time in the corral and then are best friends for life. So there's really so much opportunity that comes with Run Disney.
Now, this is a specific question next that Travis originally told me. You don't have to include this, but I'm like, oh, yes, but I do. Do you think that Bob Iger or Josh D'Amaro would win in a 100-yard dash if they raced each other?
I have absolutely no clue.
All right, so I'm going to paint a picture for you.
Okay, because I'm about to Google, because I can't remember what they both
Oh,
look
okay.
like.
So Bob Iger is the CEO of Disney. Josh D'Amaro is the chairman of the parks.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
I just don't know what they look like.
Okay.
Not that should be the reason, but like I need some frame of reference other than knowledge that they exist as people.
Okay, that's fair. So while you're Googling, I'm going to paint you my picture here. Is that so in one corner, or in one lane, lane one, we have Bob Iger, cardigan,
Hmm.
poised and ready. Okay.
Okay.
Next door, we have Josh D'Amaro, who kind of looks like a hawk a little bit. So he is like laser focused. Like he's got his eyes on the prize. So I think that the race starts, the fireworks go off, and it's neck and neck for a minute. And then because Bob's his boss, Josh kind of falls back a little bit. Like, they're
Okay.
running, they're running. But then Bob is wearing a cardigan because, when we run Disney, we go for it. And then also Josh is he's really fast because he ran the Disneyland 10K, the first one back. Um, so he
Mhm.
smoked my butt. He's quick. So, and then Josh remembers who he is. He channels his hawk power, and then he just absolutely like sprints to the line, almost trips over the finish line, but then saves it a little. But then Bob does like recover nicely, and then but Josh wins. The end.
Would you like to hear what ChatGPT thinks?
Sure.
Because I asked, why not? They think that Josh would also win, or it. I don't know. It's, they said unless Bob is hiding a secret Olympic past, Josh would likely win the 100-meter dash. He's younger, visibly more active, and just gives off major power jog through Magic Kingdom at sunrise vibes.
See, I didn't want to go with the age thing because like I have passed Jeff Galloway in a 5K, but then he passed me back. So, because I stopped for a character. I have passed an Olympian though. I have passed an Olympian. But I didn't want to go for
Yeah.
that because like I'm just imagining like we got superpower, like, we've leveled the playing field, except for the whole cardigan thing. So
Yeah. Well, it did describe Josh as known for walking through the parks, so, like, maybe he's out there more regularly. So and they described Bob as more of a marathon boardroom type than a sprinter.
ooh, okay. So that's interesting as well. Where yeah, I think that
Bob's in it for the long haul.
yeah, I think Bob would probably smoke in the half, but Josh would win in the 100-meter dash.
Seems like solid reasoning. Last but not least, from Travis, if Mr. Natalie or Ben were in charge of picking the themes for a Run Disney weekend, what would they pick? I didn't know we were going to get asked this. I should have asked Ben before we recorded.
I didn't ask Mr. Natalie.
You're just going
I'm
to guess?
headcanoning it, just like Josh and Bob. So, obviously, he mourns the fact that Hunchback is a criminally underutilized property. So, I think that he would absolutely have Frollo's scary ass on a medal. So, like sneering and all, like hellfire playing as you like go out the gate. But I'm thinking that's going to be a 10K.
Okay.
He does really quite like Hercules, though. So,
Mm.
and then Toy Story is a favorite of his. So, that's just that amalgamation, that combination. Um, Toy Story. Actually, I go Toy Story, Hercules, and Hunchback, Scary, Frollo, Hellfire. I don't know what the challenge medal is out of that. I don't know. His face, a Mr. Natalie joke, an unhinged idea. Oh, the Indiana Jones tank. That's the medal.
Oh, yeah. I was like, it has to be something indie.
Yes,
He
he
loves
does love
indie.
Indy.
I don't know what Ben would pick. I feel very torn. We've been like on a run of all the like Disney classics the last few nights. Like we watched The Black Cauldron,
Ooh.
we watched Sword in the Stone, Fox and the Hound. We just like get on a roll. So I don't know what he would pick. Okay, it's not Disney, and technically in Disney World, I don't think we could do this. I think we'd have to go to Disneyland for a race for this, but I think he would want a Spider-Man themed weekend. So like Spidey, like Into the Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
We could have all the different Spideys. And then I don't know which one would be which race, but like I feel like we could have like a whole Spider-Man race weekend. I think that would be really cool. I don't think we could do that in Disney World because Spidey's still at Universal because of the whole like Mississippi thing. Yeah, so I think we'd have to go to Disneyland, but I think that would give us like a very interesting variety because Into the Spider-Verse, they're all like different animation styles and different characters and different personalities and stuff, and I think they could match up the different characters to the different races pretty well with the overarching theme of Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That is all. That's my Spider-Man. Not that I dislike the other
Okay.
two, but Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is the one I've seen the most. So
Yeah. All right.
On to Maz. She asks, do you think Run Disney is a good intro race for beginners who are thinking about running but haven't done much of it?
I want to say yes, that it is a good intro, especially if you're trying to have fun and all that, but also at the same time, it's very expensive if you're not sure if you like running. So, unsure. I feel like I have to say yes though because it's the whole
Kitty crossing.
I feel like I have to say yes though because it's basically what I did.
Yeah.
Like I played with the idea of running, but I really committed when I signed up for my first Disney race and then I happened to run a local before that, but
You didn't lock
yeah,
in.
I'm going to go with yes. Yeah, I locked in because of Disney.
I would also say yes. I think one thing that makes Disney a step above the rest is that it is back of the pack friendly.
Yes.
Yes, there are still cutoff times, and yes, could we maybe have an 18-minute mile instead as our cutoff? Yes. But I do think that the standpoint of Disney does not take water tables down. Yes, if they're empty and like there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But they don't take like water tables down when you have the 12-minute milers pass. So I think that they celebrate every athlete that comes in. Every athlete gets a medal. Every they celebrate with firework or confetti for the very final finisher. So I do think it's very friendly for a beginner to do. And again, like we talked about earlier, there's a very, very supportive community around you, right? People who start, in your corral aren't saying, "No, you can't do that." Like, no, they're like just gonna amp you up. And I think that that is something that it depends on the local. I don't wanna paint locals in a bad light, but, resource-wise, Disney has the resources and they utilize the resources to make it a positive experience for people who are toward the back of the pack. And I know that they're obviously this is me saying from somebody who has a POT, and doesn't usually start toward the back, but, obviously, like, there are differences in experiences, but I think that positivity-wise that it's a good place to be. It is I think bringing up that it's expensive is a good point, but I would say I would challenge maybe that say you decide ultimately that, like, this isn't, like, the running part sucks and you hate it, at least you can probably have some fun
Yeah.
along the way. Like, where else can you go on a roller coaster during a marathon, you know?
True.
Like, even if I decided that, like, the marathon wasn't for me, even though by that point I was already like, "Okay, this is how we're gonna do this better next time." Um, But obviously, I had a lot of firsts. I had my first 10K, I had my first half, I had my first marathon, I had my first 10 miler, all at Disney. So I gotta
Mm.
say, for somebody who was a beginner and also thought that a half marathon was completely out of reach or for me, that or a marathon, I'd say, yeah, it's very beginner friendly.
At least if the running sucks, you're on vacation.
True.
Unless you're local, then maybe you're not, but you could still go to Disney.
True that.
Which on the same vein, which weekend would you choose to recommend to a first-time runner?
I have strong feelings about this. It's gotta be Princess. I know if you're a princess hater, just scroll ahead the last or next couple minutes, okay? I know princess can get a bad rap. We are princess stans, but princess can get a bad rap because it does kind of attract beginners. But I think that the pros, and this is me thinking on the standpoint of it being your first half marathon. The pros are that if you do the half and it is your first half marathon, you end in the big kahuna of the weekend and it's the half, right? You go through
Mhm.
and you get the castle, you get all of that. You get the glitter friendly tutu fun of Princess Half Marathon weekend, okay? As much as
Mhm.
marathon weekend is a blast and we're both marathon weekend stands ourselves, there is a bigger seriousness to marathon weekend. A lot of people
Mhm.
who do the half at marathon weekend, like they always are bringing up there's dopey, there's goofy. there's a marathon tomorrow. And it's not that I think that it's like maliciously like, oh yeah, you people doing the half. No, the announcers celebrate, but there is still the whole like, I'm not doing the last one. I'm
Mhm.
not the one who's going to have the Dapper Dan sing at the start line. That's only happened for the 10 miler and the marathon or this year and then the marathon in 24, at least on the East Coast. Um Marathon weekend's also a little more serious. So in terms of like vibes wise, I'd say of the two castle halves, I would absolutely choose Princess. What do you think?
My votes for Springtime Surprise, I might be slightly biased since it was my first, was the 10 miler at Springtime Surprise, but also because I think the 10 miler is such a perfect distance for a beginner that wants to push themselves beyond the 5 or the 10K, but isn't ready to commit to a half. Now, do I have the same logic of like a 5K is really not that much further? Yes, but the 10 miler is such a good
Mhm.
distance. Like, I've also never felt in the last 5K of a half of like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I'm running this extra 5K. It's just a really good distance. It definitely feels impressive. Like when I told my family that we were signed up for a race and we were going to run 10 miles, they thought it was crazy. They were like, that's so far. And it did. It felt like big and ominous, but it didn't feel as big and ominous as a half
Mhm.
marathon does, which is the longest race at all the other weekends. And so it felt kind of fun to be doing the big kahuna of a race weekend, but not having to commit to a half. And I mean, you don't get the castle, that's for sure. But Springtime Surprise is a fun weekend.
Ooh, you've like
Mine was also Pixar. I
true.
had
You've kind of convinced
I
me.
had aliens on my medal.
Ooh, you've swayed me in a way because I guess I'm kind of half biased, uh, in a way of. But yeah, I think that it is a really good weekend to because I think that also the vibe is a lot more laid back because for a lot of people it's like the last weekend before you
Mhm.
all
It is a party
yeah,
weekend.
you're not running a marathon that weekend. You're not running a half that weekend. You are running, but not to diminish 10 miles, but a lot more of, I think, your fellow runners. That's what I mean, is that
Mhm.
a lot of us ding dongs are here for like a lot of different races, and it's like, oh, thank God, it's not a marathon. um, but I do think it's definitely a vibe, and it's like the like warm hug of like seeing all your friends again for before you all leave for the summer. So,
Mhm.
ooh, I could be biased, like a princess springtime action. Um, I could be convinced.
Plus, you can get up to a lot more shenanigans when you don't have to run so far.
True. It's also hot.
It also does kind of fall in a I mean they all used to fall in a lull, but I think it depending on how it lines up with spring break weekends can be also kind of a dead time in the park, which means you can get like a pretty good vacation out of it as well.
Yeah. I was so surprised or pleasantly surprised how empty the parks seemed at springtime this year. Not like empty, empty, but
Mhm.
in terms of like, I was expecting it to be busier.
Springtime Surprise for Ben and I has been the best like park experience we had of all the race weekends just because there were so few people and we could get through so much.
So, Mr. Natalie has graced us with a lot of questions that are mostly dad jokes. Um, so, feel free to boo, groan, laugh, whatever. Some of them could be discussion ish. So, I'll start off with the first one. I need to sound more excited because actually, these are pretty funny. um, If Lightning McQueen entered a Run Disney race, would he need shoes or just high performance tires with glitter?
High performance tires with
Duh.
glitter. Yeah, with
Duh.
glitter. Duh. What Disney villain would be the most insufferable pacer? Mr. Natalie's answer is Hades with a megaphone. Which, yes. And can you imagine Pain and Panic on both sides with him? Obnoxious.
True. I got
They should have that out this year.
Oh, for Disneyland?
Yeah.
My god, that'd be amazing.
You better be listening, Disney.
Okay, you
You still have time.
yeah, I still have time to acquire a bib. Maybe. I would add Mother Gothel to that list because she is condescending. She is not nice.
Mhm.
Refer to our chaos episode from May, but she would be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I'm just like running slower because of you, and because I'm pacing you." And she would be annoying and condescending and not nice to be around. Hades at least would make me laugh, probably.
Yeah. You know who I want to pick that's not a villain, but I think would also be insufferable as a pacer?
Go for it.
Flynn Rider at the very beginning of Tangled. Before he makes his, transition.
Ooh, that's a good one.
He's so before he becomes a good person, he's very self-absorbed, and I just feel like he would just be so annoyed that you're not keeping up.
Yes. Or like that he didn't get the pocket for the photo pass of like his smolder, or
Yeah.
he was on his bad side for photo pass.
Yes.
Yes, he would be annoying.
Probably also didn't get the corral he wanted.
True.
They put him in the wrong pace, like to pace the wrong group.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Is it acceptable to carbo load exclusively on churros and Mickey pretzels the night before a race, or is that a goofy challenge in and of itself? But let me know how that goes, Mr. Natalie.
I'm kind of worried how much sugar that's in a churro, if like that might make me feel sick.
Keep me up.
I'm not really worried about the Mickey pretzels. I think that would be fine. I could eat a lot of Mickey pretzels. But I think the churros, too much sugar sits in my stomach. I will get ill.
Well, now I'm
And they're fried, so it's sugar and fat.
yeah.
I went through a whole phase in middle school where thought I didn't like bacon because I ate too much once and it made me sick.
Oh, that's the worst. That was your fireball before you had fireball.
No, that would be the red hot candies that my dad made my sister and I eat.
I think that if we're talking Nomad Lounge churros, I probably still would not enjoy my experience with that. That is a goofy challenge in and of itself, sir.
Mhm. If each Disney park ride had to sponsor a themed running event, which one would have the highest injury rate? Mr. Natalie says Mission Space.
So there's a lot going on with this question. A lot. So there's like the whole if I'm thinking of different rides that people do for like a like donation torture type of thing, and like Small World, like if you had like a Small World sponsor, and like I would think that's great, but somebody like Travis who hates It's a Small World like with a burning passion, or Mickey's Wheel of Death. Oh no, whoa, 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 whoa. Before I even get into the Small World rant, it's definitely Mickey's Fun Wheel or whatever it's actually the Pixar pal around. Mickey's Wheel of Death would definitely have the highest injury rate. Can you imagine trying to run like in like the shaking, like swirling, like no.
Is that how this works?
I don't know. He didn't specify.
I was gonna say Big Thunder. Because in the world where Big Thunder is real, they're sponsoring a race in the desert.
True.
So we're probably going to get a lot of people with heat illness. On top of that, it's an old mining area, so there's explosives everywhere. It's just a recipe for disaster of all kinds, really.
Okay, well then my answer might be dinosaur.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're all going to get eaten. The death rate's going to be high. It's not even injury, death rate. You're not making out of that.
We're not gonna
And
make
then
it.
if you don't make it back in if the machine doesn't make it back, you die from a meteor for sure.
Yeah.
Asteroid, whatever it is.
Yeah. I've heard it both ways. Yeah, no, that would be brutal. There's the whole Yeti thing in Everest as well. He seems a little hungry.
If the Yeti doesn't get you, the deprivation is.
That is so true. So true. Space Mountain, you're in space, you're gonna float away.
Mhm.
No, you're done.
Yeah, if there's a breach in the space center,
Ooh. Oh, that might have been where this mission space thing came from. Uh, as well. Are we in danger at Hollywood Studios? Or are we just in the movies? I guess there's the Tower of Terror of it all, which I ironically have run a race sponsored by that ride because I've done the Tower of Terror 10 miler. So, and I survived. 1939, because that's weird. But they chanted 1939 so much that I still LOL whenever I see, like, if I look down at my watch and it's like, I'm at 19.39 miles, I have to chuckle to myself.
All right, Mr. Natalie, I think we're gonna have to speed round through a few of these.
A lot of these are dad jokes, so we'll just speed them. Would Genie from Aladdin be DQ'd for using magic to finish early or just given a DNF? Did not float. But
DQ'd.
yeah. True. If Donald Duck ran a 10K with no pants, is that still technically race legal attire under Disney guidelines?
I don't think so. I don't know, because this comes back to the debate of whether or not, like, Donald wearing, like, his feathers are his clothes.
True.
He has skin under that, so maybe.
Where is he pinning? Oh no, he has got a shirt. I was gonna say, where is he pinning
Yeah.
that to? Oh, that would hurt. Which princess would win a marathon? This we will. Cinderella wearing glass slippers. Yikes. Ariel only recently acquired legs. Merida must fight a bear mid-course. You might have seen a different movie than I did.
Merida.
Yeah, obviously. Duh.
Definitely Merida. I think followed by Cinderella and then Ariel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you just acquired legs, you don't know how those muscles work.
You definitely have not been doing your mobility.
No.
You're not going to warm up.
And
You're not going to know.
Cinderella in glass slippers reminds me of this guy. I can't remember what his like social handle is, but he runs races in high heels for charity.
Oh, yeah.
So like it's definitely possible, but I don't think Cindy has been practicing. Whereas Merida actually runs through the forest regularly.
Absolutely. What's the ideal hydration strategy for a run that passes every Dole Whip stand? Asking for a friend currently sprinting toward a sugar crash. Well, you just get one with the ones with pineapple juice in them. Duh.
Ooh, tasty. I mean, if you're running far enough, you need those carbs.
True.
And if you're hydrating properly, I mean, I know he's saying the Dole Whip is the hydration strategy, but you're definitely going to need also water.
Yeah.
Got to balance it out.
Yeah, for sure. And you want to take the last one?
If someone yells, Andy's coming mid-race, are we all morally obligated to fall down like Toy Story characters? No.
No, that sounds like a hazard. However, would I love to like have like a DLS like photo op like before while we're still in Corral V outside of the corrals and just have an Andy's coming? That would be awesome.
That would be quite funny. It would. I'm not saying it should ever happen because yes, it would be a safety hazard, but what an iconic moment it would be if the DLSers like all slowly walked to the finish line, made sure it was just them at the end, and everyone just like fell down at the finish line. Like a death, like the death drop.
Yeah. Miss Marathoner, if you're listening, just having out some ideas for you. Actually. All right.
Then everyone quickly proceeds to get up so the medical staff is not concerned.
Yeah, no, I don't think that the heart palpitations for medical is probably, worth that.
Yeah.
But we have now concluded Mr. Natalie questions. Thank you for submitting, dearie. We're going to move on to Tony, though. He asked, what's more juicy, Run Disney drama or high school drama?
Run Disney.
For sure. I mean, we stay out of it, but for sure. Well, because like I'm not in high school anymore, so like I don't know if I care about who got asked to the prom.
I didn't really care about high school drama back then either.
Same.
So
Absolutely same.
This is probably why we are not, to my knowledge, a part of any Run Disney drama, but
I'm a non-entity, actually.
I'm pretty sure Natalie and I are NPCs.
Yes! I just have a couple dialogues like yeet. When you walk past me. Have you seen my pal Donald Duck? Uh
You got this one, Natalie.
all right. You want to ask it to me because I've thoughts.
Sure. Okay. If the Pope was a White Sox player from any time in history, who is he?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. So, obviously, he's going to have to be from the 2005 World Series team. And we have quite the lineup here, okay? We got Paul Konerko, the first baseman. Not going to be him. We have Mark Burley, who threw 2 perfect games, thank you, after the White Sox 2005 season. We have AJ Pierzynski. We have Frank Thomas, DH. I could kind of see the vibe there, but if you know me and you've known me forever, you know that there is one White Sox player that has such a special place in my heart. You ready for this? You ready for this? It's not Scott Pasednik. It's Joe Creedy. When the Sox are feeling needy, they call on Creedy. Joe Creedy, I loved Joe Creedy. I love Joe Creedy. This is a current state, okay? Have you not heard the word or the name Joe Creedy in a while? Probably. But I love Joe Creedy. Is it because 24 is my favorite number despite not being my birth date? Maybe. Is it because I always found third base fascinating in terms of baseball? Yes, because like I don't know, I just always did because like, to get a triple, like that's pretty hard. Um Joe Creedy.
I think I've heard that enough for my whole life. Okay.
Don't
I
stop
know nothing
believing.
about the White Sox, so I can't contribute to this whatsoever.
Yes. Peace, love, Chicago Pope.
And to follow up Pope, why is Neville the sexiest man alive?
Okay, so I'm not going to say that he was ugly in any of the Harry Potter movies, but like he came back in the second half of Deathly Hallows as a baddie. I assume that's what you meant, right?
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. He really did though. His what I assume to be his second growth spurt, cuz that's how that goes. Really just really did something for him.
He absolutely, because like he was definitely cute, like in Order of the Phoenix and in Half Blood Prince, but and we're talking about Neville Longbottom, by the way, if you don't Harry Potter. But
Yeah, ultimate glow up. He has some serious character growth in that story arc. And who can't root for an underdog?
absolutely, he was so brave. Love it. We have our next question comes from Eyelet. Please let me know if I said that wrong. What is your best advice for mental block or a poopy attitude during a long run?
Okay. So, fuel. Honestly, if you're having like a hard time during a run, I'm not saying it's always the case because it definitely isn't, but fuel does wonders. Take extra fuel with you. Have a couple of songs that are like your you can't be unhappy listening to these songs kind of thing. Um Maybe it's Let It Go from Frozen. That can be very cathartic, especially for the millennials. Take a walking break. Like, that's okay. I do that all the time. And have your running bestie on speed dial. Highly recommend having a Natalie to call when you are not doing well.
I'll be cleaning my floors. I get a call and I'm just scrubbing up my floors.
Those are my top tips.
I think that having different like little mental breaks in there too of, oh, like a 20 is 5 4 milers. Because of course I have to do math and that's
Or
comforting.
4 or 5 milers.
Exactly. Something personally that I went through when, and I'm pretty sure I've told this story before, but when I was kind of getting back into things from having the Coco back in 2022 and training for my first Dopey, is that I gave myself permission, and this is actually a strategy that has continued on. I gave myself permission to do a little less than was prescribed. And I was like, "Okay, you have permission to I knew that what was prescribed was 17, but I was like, since I missed 15, I think if I hit 15, that's fantastic." It's like every 5th mile, so like after 4 miles, you walk that next mile, and you have that to look forward to. Guess who didn't take any of the walking miles? This girl. Guess who did 17? This girl. So I think sometimes giving myself permission to take, you know, you don't have to be a hero, right?
Mhm.
Um, give yourself permission to do what you can. Sometimes it is just about getting out there. And then I also ripped my pants on that run too. So the fact that I went for 17 is still hilarious. Um, but give yourself permission to just get out there. Give yourself permission to like do something to make it a little better. Is it taking your favorite fuel and like, oh yeah, you only have a couple of the sour apple Cliff Blocks left, and just tell yourself if that's what gets you to the mileage you're supposed to do, order more when you are done. Take the ones that you like. If sometimes I've like been struggling, I've realized like, hey, like I'm chafing a little bit, I need to put on a different shirt, or I just sweat through my clothes. I know I can't do that during a marathon. But the training run is not the marathon, right? Like, there's no reason to sit there miserably when you don't have to. In the marathon, you have to. I mean, like, there might be a little bit you can do to make yourself more comfortable, but you can't do anything about it then. But you don't have to just sit and suffer and then have a crappy 20 miler or crappy 18. You might as well just go change the shirt. Guess what? I still, because they changed the shirt thing, I think I haven't done since training for Goofy in 24. I changed the shirt on my 2 final long runs. I still PR'd by over an hour. We were fine. Okay, we were fine. Like yes, you want to simulate race day as best you can, but there's no reason to make yourself miserable unnecessarily. So whatever that little incentive is it just having candy? Instead, like you just eat, it doesn't even have to replace a fuel, but you can go just grab the Nerds gummy clusters. Great. Just something to kind of get you like, you know, break it down as best you can of like, I just have to do this. I just have to do this. And then all of a sudden it'll start ticking by. Um, and
Mhm.
it can kind of help. Sometimes, yeah, it is like if you just have a bad attitude during the run, sometimes you just gotta let yourself feel the feels. Like I've cried on runs and
Mhm.
not because I was in pain, like physically, like pain, like emotionally. And I just let myself like just cry it out. And then I felt better. And then I felt like
Mhm.
I just let my head clear. I just let it happen. I'm not saying that that's happened a
Mhm.
lot this month, but it has. Um, but yeah, I think just sometimes just letting yourself feel the feelings and like sometimes it is just okay to not be okay and just if
Mhm.
you're in pain, stop. But like, yeah,
Yes.
please do. Yeah, when I say that, I mean like not like when like if your like knee feels like it's gonna fall off like a hubcap, don't do that.
I'm giving you permission right now to quit. That's fine. It's a training run for a reason. Set some kind of milestone of like, you know what, I'm going to walk for 5 minutes. If in 5 minutes I still feel crappy and I don't want to be here, it's fine. I can go home. Like, maybe you can't do that for yourself. I have a really hard time giving myself that grace, but I'm here today to tell you I give you permission for whatever that means to quit. It's okay.
True that.
Sometimes that's
Yeah.
healthier.
And some runs just suck.
Mhm.
But you did it.
Woo!
Yay.
All right. Our next one is from Tori. She asks, if you could add a race weekend to another Disney park in the world, where would you add it? I don't think we can count Paris because technically they've done that before and it may come back.
Tokyo, Disney Sea, no questions. No further questions.
Gosh dang it, Natalie.
Well, there's a second park there.
That is, I know, but that's what I was gonna pick. They have such cool rides there. I want to run there. It's unanimous. We both picked Tokyo Disney Sea.
Wow, we love that.
Yeah. But if we need more distance, we could just go ahead and do both.
Oh, for sure.
So, anything in that area.
All right. Caitlin asks advice for first time marathoners. The distance jump is so intimidating. Buckle
Yes,
up.
it is.
Buckle up. Oh, where do we want to start?
Uh, Focus on the now. The distance jump is intimidating, but if you just think about like what distance you have on your plate that week, it is much more manageable because
Yes.
each week you're just doing a little small increment. And some weeks you'll even cut back. Ooh, those are fun weeks. And you won't even notice it's happening until like you finish that run, right? You're going to go from the very beginning running 3 miles or whatever on a long run to by the end you're going to get up to that 20 miler or 17 or whatever plan you're following or coach says, and it's just going to happen in the blink of an eye. Like, but if you focus and think about the 20 when you're only running 3, you're going to get overwhelmed and scared and you're going to let the intimidation get to you. So just focus on what you have right in front of you and know that as long as you want it pretty much, like you can do it. I have full confidence that if it's something you want, it's going to be fine.
Love that. Took some words out of my mouth almost. Um, the only thing I'd add to that portion of it is that you don't have to worry about your 20 and week 2. That is
No.
a couple months from you now's problem, right? You shouldn't, well, maybe I shouldn't say shouldn't, but it's normal that you don't feel like you can do a 20 right now because you shouldn't be able to do 20 right now unless you're like a superhuman. Right? Like so focus, like
Yeah.
Hannah said, focusing on your distance that you're doing this week and just letting the incremental distance build. One thing I'd say is if you have done a half marathon before and you have trained for a half marathon before, let's say you've done it, well, if you've done it, your the commonly accepted or commonly thing like of like you're good for the marathon is a 20. So whether you've trained Galloway where that goes to 14 or you've just done a half, that's only 7 more miles. So if you kind of think of it as like we do our half marathon training plan, we do a half marathon, let's say we don't even race it, we just complete a half marathon. What you need to build up to next is not that far away. Like you're most of the way there. This is how I convince people to try a marathon. Follow me for more
This is
advice.
very sound runner logic.
Yeah, this is such girl math, runner math. But honestly, if you've done the 14 and it's like, okay, well, like we did these 2 mile step ups every other week and or even mile and a half. Then, from 14, we go to 15 and a half. Okay, cool. From 15 and a half, we go to 17. Oh, okay, cool. Right? Like you kind of have these incremental steps up and you think of it as a mile and a half more just takes me X, whatever that is for you. Like, oh, that's manageable. And then you start breaking it out and chunking it out into those different things. And then all of a sudden, like you run a 20, and 20 is like a very emotional mileage for me personally, because it's like that, oh, okay, I got this. I'm good for the marathon. Right. So you can do it.
You got it. Jinx. The same sentiment.
Yes.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, Paige wants to know what is our most embarrassing running moment?
Ripping my pants has got to be up there.
I was going to say, Natalie has shared hers for sure, either ripping the pants or the chafed butt cheeks. You know, those are both out there for everyone to hear.
Yep. Yep. As more and more of my coworkers find out the existence of this podcast, yep, my chafed butt cheeks are out there for you to listen to and enjoy. It's funny. I haven't gotten hurt, thank God. But you got to just laugh.
I don't know what my most embarrassing running moment is. I don't feel like I've done anything all that embarrassing. What can you, Natalie, as I don't remember anything I ever do, can you think of anything?
Well, like, you're like my moon and stars in the world, so, like, I obviously don't think things you do are cringe, so, like like, I mean, like, right? Like, I'm hard on myself, but, like, my crescent moon over there, like, obviously, I don't think things you do are cringe, so, like
Oh, I love
I
you.
love you.
It's not embarrassing, I guess, but, like, when I start races way too fast, that doesn't count. That's just, like, bad practice, I guess. Like, I started my 5K for that Halloween 5K that I did before I ever ran Disney. I did the first, like, half mile at an absolute all-out sprint,
Mm.
like, as if I was gonna do a 100-meter dash. I think I ran the first quarter to half a mile at, like, a 7-minute mile or
Holy crap.
something. Like, so fast. I was dying. I can't believe I didn't collapse on the sidewalk, and then very quickly ran not that fast. The rest of the way, dropped many minutes on that pace per mile. Um, so that or I don't Chicago wasn't embarrassing so much as just, like, it's it's a normal experience. This is the thing. Nothing I can't say anything is super embarrassing because I feel like you learn from all of it.
Yeah.
That's very sappy. I've never had, like, a big, like, "Oh, I tripped and, like, my skirt flew up and everyone saw my underwear," or something. Like, I haven't had anything like that, so I don't know. Maybe the most cringe embarrassing is when I talk about, like, I started the blister brigade. I legit wanna talk about I legit want people to message in and tell us about their blisters so we can name them and give them personalities. Maybe that's the most embarrassing thing I've ever done.
No, that's funny. So, yeah. No, I think there are things you just learn from, and it's just I think that the probably the only, like, truly that embarrassing moment I've ever had, and that is anything that I have just continued to do and not learn from and gotten just sat there and been like, "Oh, I wonder why that keeps happening." No, like, anything I did Greg has asked, "Have you been pleased with how well your fertilizer has worked this season?"
No. Sorry, but, I think that probably is user error more than the fertilizer's fault, to be honest. I think our yard, unfortunately, had a very large window where it wasn't really like, the peak period here was, like, when we were buying the house is
Mhm.
when it started warming up, and the old owners were moving out, and then we were moving in, and we didn't actually, like, we closed on the house but didn't actually move into the house for a few weeks after that, so, like, the lawn didn't get mowed, the weeds had time to, like, take root, really, and it didn't get watered or anything, so I think that kinda bit us, and we're still learning. So I'm sure we haven't really done a great job.
That's so fair. Okay, to just make you feel more normal about that, I don't know much about lawn care. My mom is a lawn care queen. I didn't fertilize until late summer last year for the first time because I didn't know what I was doing. So, and then I did a really not great job fertilizing in terms of learning the spreader and how it. I knew how a
Mhm,
spreader worked, but in terms of like how the dial should be set, and I'm still learning. However,
mhm.
I did like an hour of yard work outside yesterday because I got little like sod because we have a couple little patches that we needed to reseed. Uh,
Yeah, I think we have a few too.
I got these little things. They're like pellets, like almost like where it has like the mulch, the fertilizer, and the seed in it, and you just water it. We're gonna see how they work out. They seem promising. They seem quite promising because I am not smart with lawn care. So like I
Mm,
kind of needed to be simple stupid at the moment. But I am very happy with how my lawn looks. I think my husband a little less so because he's the one who has to mow it. So when we have a beautifully growing lush grass that grows so fast, I don't think he's so thrilled when he has to go mow it. But I'm due for fertilizing. So hashtag sod pod. Thank you, Greg from Rise and Run, for bringing up the sod pod.
mhm. Hopefully, we'll have something to show for it in another year.
I sent him a picture of my lawn this past week because Mr. Natalie was out mowing. So I was like, oh, I'm going to send a picture to Greg.
Greg, I'll send you an aerial view of our backyard and you can give me advice on what you think I need to do to fix it.
Fair.
All right, up next is Brandy. She asks, if you could race at any Disney resort outside the US, which one would it be? I think it's still Tokyo
Still
Disney
Toki.
Sea. We just dream of going there forever. Although, as much as I whenever the Dubai one, or no, not Dubai, Abu Dhabi one, when that one opens, I will very much, I think, want to go there. I just have to see it. I think it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
She also asks, what local icon slash ride slash mascot at the park would you want to be on a medal?
So when I first read this, I kind of misinterpreted it because I basically was like, oh, not that I've ever been to a Bucky's, but like I assumed like a local thing.
You want a
I
Bucky's
want a
medal?
Bucky, because I feel like the beaver would be so cute. But then I have
I'll bring you the closest thing, which is a Bucky's keychain. He's
Mm.
like a stuffy or a Bucky's ornament next time I see you.
Yes, I'll trade you your Stitch, your peace offering. Orlando Sphere, Shrek.
Uh-huh.
I
Okay.
want Shrek on a medal.
Run through the swamp.
Oh, absolutely, freaking lutely.
Yeah. If Universal ever, they had a race once upon a time, right?
That's Disney. No, yeah, they did.
They want to bring that back. That could be fun. Can you imagine a race through Epic? You kind of get the vibe of all the different parks in one park.
Wait, no, I want Toad on a medal now. I'm changing my answer. Yellow Toad specifically.
Okay, this is also recency bias because Ben and I just got done watching The Black Cauldron, and there is what is his name? What is his name? There's this little fluffy gray creature guy that
Yes.
lives in the forest, and he sounds like Gollum. He just does. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if Gollum is inspired by this animated character because that movie's or at least older than the Lord of the Rings movies are. And I don't know, but I think he would be very cute. Or even the pig. Hen.
Ah.
Hen Ren. I thought it was hen when, like when, what time kind of thing. Or when was it? But it's wren, like a bird.
Oh,
Hen Ren.
interesting.
Interesting. Wouldn't have known that until I read it because of how it's pronounced in the movie, but she's cute and she can see the future and or the past or something. She has special powers. She's an oracle.
Okay, MB wants to know what is something behind the scenes about making a podcast that may surprise us?
The secret sounds, you should listen till after our credits for secret sounds that Natalie occasionally puts in, which are usually embarrassing things that we say during the podcast or when we get frustrated and say swear words, and then they get bleeped out because we're trying to not get Apple mad at us.
In transparency, we are recording this in 2 parts because Riverside decided to poop out on us yesterday. So we have, in terms of us both yelling an expletive a couple times as Riverside booted us out, which is Riverside is the recording pod or platform we use. Good times.
Yeah, I mean that would be a surprise. Honestly, this is kind of the first like technical difficulty we've had in a year, so that's pretty good. Other than the few times that we've had glitches where like our audio doesn't sync up properly.
I'm trying to think of what I have to add to that. So I think that both creating ideas and coming up with ideas can be both easy and difficult. So sometimes I have like the spurt of an idea and it will eventually grow into something we can talk about, but sometimes it just doesn't get anywhere. And it just like the creative process in general. I'd say something that also might be surprising. I mean, we're pretty transparent when we like record from the past cuz we think it's funny. And it's funny this is coming from MB who has recorded with us. Of like I think probably how much I wouldn't say how much gets like, I don't know, like removed, but whatever. But like in terms of sometimes when we cue somebody, like if it's natural, then we leave it. But if it's kind of like you can do a lot with audio to make things like sound
Like it naturally happened that way.
and like where it's not like we're like, oh, we're so perfect, like we need it to be perfect. But sometimes when it's like oh, I just, like, don't actually wanna keep that in there, like, and
Yeah,
using discretion.
sometimes we say stuff and in the moment it's like, "Haha, that's so funny," and then you listen back and you're like, no, that's cringy. That nope." Mhm,
But, yeah, I think the editing time and, that would probably surprise how a lot of people how much that takes, um,
mhm.
or, like, content planning and whatnot, and, yeah.
Yeah, if you wanna, like, volunteer to help us run our Instagram, we're open to that. We can't pay you because this is a hobby, but, like, we're open to that.
True that.
Trisha asks, "What are your top fundraising tips?"
So you're like the natural queen of this, but
Aw.
the flamingo thing is absolutely genius and like yeah.
I don't know if I can take credit for that. I got that from, like, church youth group in middle school.
Okay, well like I wouldn't have known that and like implementing that in an office setting though is genius.
It was very fun. It did work way better than I expected. Um, and didn't feel awkward, believe it or not. The hardest thing about fundraising, obviously, is getting over the, like, awkwardness of asking people to give you money.
Yeah.
And the flamingo thing definitely worked. If you don't know what the flamingo thing is, I bought inflatable flamingos, like little small size ones that could sit on your desk. Some of them were like little floaties for like a beer or a soda or whatever. And then some of them were quite a bit larger. I got like twinkly lights and stuff. And I basically would come into work early or stay late the night before. And then I would like cover someone's desk at work. I made sure to clear it with HR and make it so that they could still actually do their job at their desk, but I would spam their desk with flamingos and leave a little flyer that said like, "You've been flocked. If you want to find out who flocked you, pay this money. If you want to send them to someone else, pay this money. If you want to put insurance so your desk is protected for the rest of the fundraiser, like you can pay this and I'll never like you'll be off limits," kind of thing. And it was such a hoot. You will never get over how much your coworkers enjoy just sending them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to see who can be the last one. Like, it was supposed to last, like, 2 weeks, and it lasted, like, 3 months, all summer last year
Brilliant.
or 2 years ago, yeah. It was quite fun. So, make it fun, and don't be afraid in that way. That really helps. You'd be surprised how many people you reach, like, in your just by, like, one post on, like, your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever, and if you ask your like, a couple of friends to share it, be like, "Hey, support my friend," then that's, like, exponentially you don't have to do it too many times then.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of creative ways to do it, honestly, and I think those are the best ones because people feel like they get something out of it. You don't necessarily have to, like, sell something. A lot of people do that. I see that in the fundraising groups all the time. People sell their old medals and old t-shirts and stuff. I considered doing a like music playlist where people could pay to have certain songs in my playlist for the race. I was considered doing like I'll dress up in a funny costume for one of my training runs. All kinds of fun things, but my flamingo fundraiser did so well for Chicago. I didn't really have to do much else, to be honest, outside of like my immediate family and friends who donated, and then my coworkers. They like knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
But if you need help coming up with creative fundraisers, I guess I could help.
Yeah, the only thing that I have to add to that is that like I don't want to say public embarrassment, but like something that people think like, "Oh, haha," right? That you can get out of it is something
Mhm.
funny. But also I think having a touching story too. My fundraisers have
Mhm.
been for the American Cancer Society, and it's something that's touched my life very, very closely. Both my life, my husband's life, his mom passed away of cancer as well. So it's something that has touched our lives in a way that I think that there's just a lot of heart in the story, personally, not just because it's
Mhm.
my heart, but, like, I think I've been told by people that they've been touched by, um, what we've shared or what I've shared and my journey, my experience, my entire adult life has been like involved with cancer. And it's pervasive and we want to see a world without it and where we have a cure. So I think that having a good touching story definitely helps. Um but yeah, sometimes a little bit of embarrassment or like kind of just embarrassment, like recognition. I love doing stuff where it's like I gotta say, when it's something that's like, "Get me to this next little threshold, and I have to do something." Oh, do I love
Mhm.
trying to make people go on Tower of Terror or, Figment, or if you give me something like that, oh, baby, I'm in. I'm so in. Just as a donor even, and then obviously causes that mean a
Mhm.
lot to me.
Yeah. Oh, another like actual tip, regardless of how you raise the money, is check with your employer and or the person who's donating. Ask them to check and see if their employer does company matching,
Mhm.
because that's the easiest way to just double whatever you or them are willing to do. If your company does matching, often you could do, like I did this in high school when I was raising money for American Cancer Society, is all of my family and stuff, when we would, like, anyone who donated, they would all send the money to my dad, and then my dad's company matched, so he would, like, basically combine them all into one big donation that he would donate, and then his company would match that donation, so we got double out of, like, a lot of people's donations. I can't say whether or not that is technically allowed or not, but it's people do it, so, you know.
I mean, it probably depends on your organization, but bean counter here. But I think that I definitely think I would be allowed to do that if, say, I were donating to somebody else and then asking as long as I had good justification for it and it hit the parameters of being a 501(c)(3) organization, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to give you my HR policy handbook, but I would be allowed to, match and say, hey, like, this means a lot to me. This is why this means a lot to me. And like put it in like this name. So definitely
Yeah.
it's as the bean counter, as the CPA, it's definitely above ground. Like there's nothing fraudulent about that. But also just
Technically, the money comes out of your account from your name, so
oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter, like,
mhm.
I don't know, if you have a
Yeah.
company match that works for your org, great, that's fantastic, and you can choose to and if your parameters are that you can choose what you donate to, then have at it.
Mhm.
I probably could get matches for the donations I've made to, like, Kelsey's Hope and whatnot that weren't for my fundraisers,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And then make it easy, like, make it feel effortless to actually make the donation. So when I did the Flamingo fundraiser, I had QR codes
mhm.
on all the posters. So I left posters up around the office, got permission for that, and on the poster that I put on everyone's desk. So they had easy access to make it. For us, like, we put the links in our bio, obviously, when we're fundraising. So it's very easy for you to access. You don't have to like Google the organization and then try and like sort your way through a bunch of different web pages to get there. Um, just make it as easy as possible for people to reach where they need to go. If people have to make more than 1 or 2 clicks, it's mm, your chances go
Sus.
down a lot.
Yeah, if you're willing also to then just collect for a Venmo too, because sometimes people are like, "Oh, like, I don't feel like" but I have my phone
Yeah.
right I don't wanna go get my credit card, but I have my phone right here, I'll Venmo you $5 to go
Mhm.
toward your fundraiser. But yeah, definitely making things
Yeah.
seamless.
See if your local coffee shops or your library or any of those places have like a public pin board or something that they let you put flyers on. Cause then, like, who knows, maybe a random stranger will see it. Um, if there's any like organizations in your community, if you are a church going person, often you can have that posted in like the weekly bulletin in the program for church one week, or like on, a lot of people will support you in that way. Sometimes they make an announcement, all kinds of things. So basically, if you need more, hit us up.
Yeah,
We're happy to talk about it for a long time.
for sure. This is coming from Mrs. Horsefall. Hi.
Hi, Mom.
What has been your favorite episode of the last year?
It's a lot to think through.
I know.
You go first.
Shoot. Um It is a lot to think through because I feel like I get asked this quite a bit, or if I get asked like, "Oh, like what episode would you recommend someone starts with?" I'm like, "Well, it depends if you're a runner or not, because if you're not a runner, and like you might not care about my marathon story." Um
Yeah, I mean, my favorite episode to plug is always gonna be my Chicago story because I think it's funny and miserable and all the things, but I don't know if it's my favorite episode of all of them.
Yeah, because then sometimes there's a bit of a trade-off of like the effort that was put into it. Like I guess a little bit of backstage magic here is our episode with the Main Street Marathoners was a beast to edit.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Love y'all. But in terms of like, when people don't have mics and stuff like that. So it's like individually muting when someone's not talking, so that you guys don't get the background noise of that. That was definitely something I was very proud, because then I did a bunch of listen throughs too with that too.
Mhm.
It was definitely a bit of a beast, to edit, but I was proud of it when, like, it came out to, like, the to syndication of per se, because I was very proud of. I was like, "Wow," where we started, it was like, Princess Diaries, where, like, I give you this, and I give you I take this, and I take this, and I give you a princess, um, or different things.
It turned out so well. You did such a good job.
Thank you. And it was just, I mean, obviously, the content it made it so easy to get through, it was so fun, it was I enjoyed listening to it like 7 times to edit.
That is definitely the most difficult episode we've ever made. It took you almost a month
Yeah, it definitely
to get
took
through?
me a good 3
'Cause
weeks.
yeah, because I picked up editing the other episodes while Natalie worked on
Yeah.
that. Normally, we, like, sort of, like, trade off every other week, but I took yeah, for a few weeks, I did them while you worked on that, which was a behemoth, so gladly would do that again.
Yeah.
But next time we are in such a situation, I will trade. You do not have to go through that again.
It's funny though, because I kinda like the different tricky ones. It's kind of fun, because then I think it's also going from, and again, this is, backyard baseball, but, like, going from something, like, difficult and, like, kinda getting it into what the listener hears on the back end of splicing things together and whatnot. And again, we keep things pretty transparent. Like we don't like, but at the same time, like kind of like what like kind of we get from and what our final product is. There's a lot to be proud of there. Or we always want everybody to feel good, like when they're listening to themselves on the podcast. So again, like in terms of discretion, I definitely like use a lot and whatever. Like, cause
Mhm.
more than fine with making fun of myself all day, every day. So this was a lot to not answer the question. Um,
That one is my favorite episode, though.
I think just how hard we laughed the entirety of the recording. That's
Mhm.
definitely a good favorite of, and just like kind of the chemistry too. Um,
Mhm.
Gosh, it's so tough, because then I feel like over the winter we had a lot, like we had Rick was such a good one, and KG was, obviously we've had her back like
Yes.
multiple times. Maz was such a good one. Like we had Run Fit Mama was such a good one. We had Rise and Run was, our no our like first guests. Well, our first guests.
Can you tell that our favorites are when we have other people on the podcast?
I think it brings a different dynamic to it, and I think every single one is different, and it's so fun. It's so fun to
Mhm.
to like kind of just dig into that. We loved having Heidi, Amanda, and Travis on when they had their Disneyland recap. That's another one I'm pretty proud of, because I was solo hosting because Hannah was in Iceland. And I felt so awkward because I was obviously the boss of the situation. So I felt
Yes.
so awkward in trying to lead and that was another one, which it was just muting tracks behind, because a lot of them had been.
That was our very first, like, interview, like, guest situation too,
Yeah.
so there was a lot to learn. You should go back and listen to that, and then go and listen to, I would say, like, our Boston episode with KG, because that was also pretty, like, interviewee, like, we were
Mhm.
asking her a lot of questions, we weren't just, like, laughing at each other. There was also that, but, like, it was a little more serious, and, like, see how we've grown as people, as podcasters. Please don't, it's much worse if you how depending on how far back you go.
Yeah. But again, all that to say that like I don't it's hard to give a favorite and it's effort based. Because then there's like the springtime surprise where a recap where I was surprising you with basically everything I did. Um,
Mhm.
and like the full body chills telling my Nomad Lounge Imagineer story. Like it still gives me a little tingle down my spine. Like it's like, oh, you're a storyteller. Oh my god.
Oh.
I was like you're a storyteller, and you like I saved something like this for something special. So, um, yeah. Oh my god. Somebody cut an onion right behind me, and it's kind of weird. Like, why is Mr. Natalie doing that?
Well, Anne asks, "What is your dream running destination?"
Ooh,
Is it Disney? Tokyo Sea?
like kind of like if I'm thinking realistic dreams, because like I guess I'm trying to think of where my like my world major infatuation is right now.
Glorious.
How about you?
I think my realistic dream is I would like them to bring back Paris ASAP so I can do Castle to Chateau.
Yes.
That's my dream. But Ben very much would like it to be Tokyo Disney Sea because Ben wants to go to Japan really badly.
Same. So bad. I was gonna be cheeky about this, but this was a question that I just thought of anyway. So it's like I wrote in the outline a non, but it's actually just me asking. Um, what are some impacts that the podcast has made on your life?
Friends,
Yeah.
if we want to be sappy, that's honestly, I mean, obviously, we've known each other for a long time. And I think this has had a big impact on our friendship
Hmm.
because we talk so much and it's just like brought us back together. There's just so much to talk about. And I don't know, it's really beautiful. Um, but also the new friends that we've made.
Hmm.
I mean, we love the Main Street Marathoners. We love KG. All these people, like, for, you know, we've had KG on the podcast a couple of times. When she ran for Boston, she had like opened it up for friends and people she knew in her life to send her audio messages for her to listen to during the race. And I legitimately wrote her a little thing and just you wait, Natalie, till you get yours for Chicago
Oh
because
shit.
I voice recorded it and I'm like crying, attempting to not cry while reading it for her. And like, if you had told me a year ago that I would have made friends with people that I've like met once in real life, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because we're internet babies. Like, made a lot of friends on the internet growing up, but like, I would be surprised that it would be that like meaningful
Hmm.
and just all the people like that I talk to on a regular basis and I check in and make sure how they're doing and how's their life and like all the different things. Like I have more people that I talk to on a regular basis through the podcast and through Disney that we've met than I do locally in Atlanta, which I say not to be like sad. I'm totally fine with that. But actually, some of them live in Atlanta,
Yay.
so it was a double whammy. So actually, I take that back because there's actually quite a bit of crossover of people that live here in Atlanta. But yeah, just that. I mean, obviously, it has like on a less sappy note has impacted our like time management. There's a lot of time that we've had to redirect to the podcast, and like we've learned a lot of skills, like you were saying about podcast editing, and I've spent a lot more time on learning like graphic
Hmm.
design and like stuff when we try to put together our Instagram posts and stuff. It's let me express like my artistic side a lot more. Um so yeah, there's also been like practical yay learning moments.
For sure. I'd say one of the biggest impacts is I have a lot more confidence speaking at work
Oh,
with
that's exciting.
feeling like I can just approach People okay, I have been at my job another year though too, so, like, that comes with it, but I do think that it's impacted how I speak at work. Um,
Mhm.
Obviously, with the podcast, if I go, like, 3 times in a row, I can eat. Depends actually how much time I have because sometimes I don't care enough to get rid of that. But but it has definitely, I mean, like, are impacted. I'm, I guess, becoming the poster child for my workplace. This is how the podcast came out, like, at work again, is that a couple people know that I have it, and, the, Toastmasters group. And it's like, "Oh, well, yeah, like, oh, yeah, like, Natalie has a podcast." And the way that, like, half of finance whipped their heads around at me was like, "You what?" So, hey, if you're here. It was funny, though, but I've gotten more confidence speaking at work. I've gotten, I think, that almost like relatability aspect more, where I think that
Mhm.
I'm a very friendly person, but it's helped me kind of get over some different like anxieties that I have too, because like
Mhm.
I allowed me talking about my butt cheeks to hit the internet forever. Um,
I mean, we joke that you're the one who's, like, less scared of strangers, but I would say that I have also grown in that way, that I am much more open to talking to random people than I ever was before this.
oh yeah, for sure. I think that there's flexing my creative side is not something I really get too much of a chance to do in my day job. So really, again, like, kind of flex the business side of me, because when I think toward not that I have this grand master strategy, but I think that sometimes it goes into what I say or what I think about our topics of like, oh, like this is a great thing like to bring up and talk about. How can we talk about it and like kind of relate it to a listener, right? Of like somebody who might need to hear that, of like, this is how we, you know, obviously talking about when you've derailed your training, for example, like is not like an easy way to admit, like, yeah, I done diddly effed up. Right. Like I was within 2 months of a marathon and I was not doing super I hadn't done a back to back yet. Right. It's not a great like
Mhm.
it's not a fantastic, like, I don't know, and, like, feeling sometimes, or, like, sometimes also just admitting, like, when you're wrong, like, it's like, "Ooh, mea culpa today,"
Mhm.
like, today, it's like, "Oopsie, I messed up and let that go to air that, about the Oogie Boogie Bash tickets, oops." Um, so I think that, but thinking strategically of, like, how we want the community to grow, and, like, we want it to be organic. We want it to be, like, we want it to just feel like a big, like, group of your girlies, like, just, like, crashing together on a couch and, like, having a sleepover in a way. That's like, we wanna think of things in that regard. So, at least I hope Hannah's no, I know. Plot twist, this is what we're going. But I think that kind of just leaving just, like, an open table environment as well. But it's, my business side, right? Like I'm an accountant. I have a master's in account. I have a business, like I have business degrees. So how you can kind of achieve that, the psychology behind certain things, the research I put into things. So remember, I was the skeptic in the lore because like I had done a lot of because it had been on my mind for quite a while, and I had done a lot of research, like a lot of research, like probably more than I probably should admit, just based on the other things I had going on in my life at the time, but of just kind of, these are things that this is how, and you can't please everybody, you absolutely can't, but um kind of like, this is how, like, you take yourself in your true core you and like what you believe, and we hope that this does come through, of like the core of like our facets of the facets of our personalities and our like beliefs, and kind of like share them with other people, and like when you vibe. And then we have this big community, right? We had people who didn't know each other, who were helping each other with registration this week, and like I saw
Oh,
that,
so
and
sweet.
I like almost cried because I was like, oh my god, like.
I told Ben about it at dinner. I was like, "Ben, did you know that because of the podcast, someone was being able to register for a race?" And he was like, "What?"
And it's not something I take lightly when somebody is like, "You inspired this part of my story." And from people I know back home, or like people I grew up with who've like, "Yeah, like I listened to your pod a little bit when I was training for my marathon." I'm like, "Oh man." Like, or Even just before the podcast came around, it was just my Instagram of like, this is how like training's going. Like, look at me. Like, I've done this marathon. Like, I've done these halves. I've done this. And the number of people who have said that I've touched their lives and they like following along. And in some way, like that is something I don't take lightly. So like trying to be an example. And like again, it's still very core me. If I chafe my butt cheeks again, please God no. But like if I like I'm not gonna like sugarcoat that. But I do try to keep a relatively positive spin on things. But when Hannah said time management, I'm the one who's kind of flying by the seat of her pants a little bit more right now. Just because things are all day, every day wild. But
She's also more popular than I am and has weddings every
all
weekend.
right. All right. But I'm the one just kind of but I think the way that sometimes like I can see things in the future and like strategically plan. I guess like strategy is something that's like I don't know, I'm getting like tech bro. This is like, well, my brother, sidebar, my older brother, he kind of like, he literally went like startup business tech bro on me last week when he was just asking about the podcast. And like, obviously, that's like business is my mate, is my like, that's my language. So like, I talked back to him. Like, but my husband observed, he's like, yeah, he just went full tech bro into you. But that's kind of, it's something that's worth doing to me. So, I don't half-ass few things, I whole-ass one thing, except I whole-ass, like, 5 things when I could half-ass 10, is probably a little bit more about how that goes, so I think if it's something worth doing and something worth putting my passion and my heart behind, I lay it all out there, and I think it's made me a stronger, more confident version of myself. Because then you have to set boundaries as well when you are doing something like this that takes a lot of time, uh, and
As we say, reaching hour 3 of recording.
with the other stuff, it's like 4 too. Oh god. Whoops. Um, Also, I do love a good justified reason to share a meme. I haven't made one
Yeah.
in a while. Ooh, I'm gonna
Send us your ideas.
I'm gonna noodle on that. Ooh, we definitely have a lot of good meme content with dopey training starting this week.
Yeah.
Check in.
All right. And our last question asker is Jessica. She's got 4 juicy ones for us. The first one is, what is our favorite race
On the
weekend?
count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Princess.
Princess. If Princess didn't exist, then it would be marathon, but I don't want to like commit to always wanting to do a marathon forevermore.
True.
And it's like right after Christmas, so the vacation time is difficult.
Yeah, and I'm a glutton for punishment, so that dwarf or that goof, they coming for me, usually.
What's your favorite hotel on Disney property for race weekends?
Port Orleans Riverside or Saratoga Springs. What about you?
See, I am Port Orleans French Quarter all the way.
Fair.
Yeah, I very much appreciate that if I am to be in the pain cave for whatever reason, there are elevators if I have to, which also helps with all of the luggage.
True.
That when Ben and I are both at a race weekend, we tend to bring. So much so that we required a wagon and a bell cart marathon weekend. And I appreciate how close the food is to the room when needed. That was my one thing about Saratoga that I didn't love, is that it's, I mean, even further than Riverside.
Yeah.
From where we were, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
You could end up in a good spot or a very far away spot. And also, I just didn't think their quick service was like, had the most interesting menu.
Shots fired.
It had good
Yeah.
stuff. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed whatever that Mediterranean bowl
so
thing was
good.
that I had multiple times, but I just didn't. I don't know. It wasn't like, ooh, I'm really excited to go eat there.
That is totally fair, but I kind of sometimes can feel about that about by a certain point, most quick services are like,
Yeah, by the end, yeah.
except for Captain Cook's. I could eat those Thai meatballs every day, but I haven't stayed at the Poly for a race weekend, so. First bus or get to the race when you get there?
I am first bus when I'm with you, and get to the race when I get there when I'm not with you.
I'm a recovering first busaholic, because I'm starting to chill, except for marathon weekend. I'm starting to chill a little bit, sort of, kind of, yeah. Um, I
Mhm.
mean, no, but like between the two, it's definitely a first bus if I can, prevent it, or if I can, because I just like being there. I like settling in. It's not like I really want to
Mhm.
sleep in that much anyway. Like, just
Mhm.
yes,
I would like to clarify that when I say get there when I get there, that does not mean I am intentionally trying to catch the last bus. It's just that, like, some mornings are a lot slower than others, and I am not upset about it if I miss the first one.
fair.
I'm always shooting for the first few because I would like to have buffer in case my bus driver doesn't know where they're going, which happened to us on the way back, luckily, not the way there. Uh
Yeah,
this
my
year.
princess.
They didn't know where we were going. It was they thought where did they think that we were going?
She
Old Key
was told
West?
that she was going to ESPN Wide World of Sports, and then we were like, "Hey, we're supposed to go to Old Key West and Saratoga," and she's like, and they told her to just take us back to the Epcot parking lot. She was like, "No, I'm taking you," like
No.
with some expert guidance from some of the people in the front, which we were too. She got us there. She's like, "I'm not taking you
Yeah.
back to the parking lot. That's ridiculous." Absolute homie.
Yeah. That was great. All right. And last but not least, what's your favorite thing about Run Disney?
The community and all of you.
Cheese Fest. We love you guys.
Yeah.
But really.
We do. It's just, again, we've said this a couple times, but it's transformational in a lot of ways of how, again, like Ren Disney changed me, but it did. It has changed me. It's made me a more confident, stronger version of myself. I believe I can do basically everything. I could break through a wall. I'm not going to because that would hurt. But, it makes me feel like I can, like, these dreams that seemed like such far off, like maybe then dreams are, those are dreams that are attainable. And I attribute that to a lot of you, and the impact that you guys have on our lives.
Yeah. Run Disney has changed me. This is going to be so sappy. It's changed me in ways that I never thought possible. Like, it started as just something to like do with my friends to get myself moving again after I moved to a new city and like was feeling kind of unsure. My whole routine had been messed up by COVID and I didn't know anyone there or what to do. And I found so much more than just like a single race.
Mhm.
I found the beautiful community of all of you guys that are listening. Um, all the people that we like communicate on the regular that make us feel supported and celebrated and like cheer us on. I mean, Run Fit Mama,
Mhm.
Kristen, when I got a PR during Princess, like she was so supportive and was like, "Oh my god, get your butt over here so I can hug you." But I was already on a bus, so I couldn't get off the bus. And I mean, those same people, they cheer for you when you win. They honestly cheer for you even more when you're like struggling and upset. And they remind me, you remind me, everyone reminds me that we're not alone, that we can keep going, that like we've got this. Through every training run and blister and panic craft. um
Windy day in Nebraska.
yeah, rainy 20-mile run on a treadmill. um yeah, you guys have all been there and I feel like I've learned to believe in myself a lot through this. I've set some pretty lofty goals. I tend to have like an absurd amount of overconfidence until I really get close to something and I'm like, oh no, this was a bad idea. But you guys help me push through that and like keep going, push through the doubt. I've made so many friendships. I said that already, but and honestly, they feel like family I love all of you guys. Yeah, it's the confidence and the connection and the like joy to never stop chasing that I love. And yeah, Run Disney has given us a lot more than just medals and snack boxes.
Yeah, you thought you were just here for some cheese, and no, we're here for so, so, so much more. So, thank you to you guys, again for listening, engaging. It never fails to geek me when someone like repeats something I said to like to me. I'm like, oh. But I just, it's been such a heck of a ride so far, and it's just so exciting to think of what's in store in the future, and just where we're gonna go. We're gonna be running a lot to get there, wherever it is. But like Hannah said, it's the belief that you guys have in me that makes me believe a lot more in myself, and I that is a immeasurable gift. So if me embarrassing myself for a couple hours a week sometimes,
I think all we can say is we love you guys and thanks for listening.
yeah, blow out the birthday candle and smash the cake, because we got so much more coming.
If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We have a community spotlight on our Instagram at Stride Sisters Podcast. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. And to continue the fun, join us on our Facebook page. All the ways to connect with us can be found in the show notes. Thanks for listening. Until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.